Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Champions Cup. This one, the Harlequins taking on the Stormers. It's going to be a very interesting game because this Stormers side, they are on one of their best runs they have been on in quite some time. This Harlequins side, you could almost argue on one of their worst runs. So someone's going to budge in this game, and we're either going to see that Stormers run extended or we're going to see the Quins bring it to a halt. Now, the last time these two sides played off in any format of the game, whether that was Champions Cup or it can only really be other than the Challenge Cup, we actually saw 50 points put on the Stormers. So I don't think we're going to see that today. This is definitely a different Stormers side. There's probably a different Quins side heading into this match as well. Looking through at the starting lineups, first of all, for the home side, it is Simon Kieran in the front row alongside Jack Walker and also Pedro Delgado slots in at 3. There's quite a bit of Argentinian flair to this Harlequin side, including Guido Petti in the number 4 jersey, and Kieran Treadwell does slot in as the number 5. Chandler Cunningham himself, Jack Kenningham and Alex Dombrand, they make up the loose forward trio. Lucas Friday alongside Marcus Smith as that 19 combination. Caden Murley, out on the left wing. Bradley and Northmore in the midfield. Nick David out on the other wing, and the dangerous Tyrone Green slots in at number 15. In terms of the starting lineup for the Stormers, it is Ollie Kebble in the front row alongside Voko Zella and Zachary Porthen. So a very different looking front row for the Stormers than what we are used to seeing some of their home games, but that is not exactly a bad thing. We've seen a lot of rotation from the South African sides this week in the Champions Cup. Some good, some bad, depending on the side. But overall, this is still a pretty decent looking Stormers team. And if they play well, they got more than enough capabilities getting the job done. Here as well, Connor Evans and Ruben van Heeren will lock in as the locks for this game. Low now, Ben Jason Dixon and Marcel Tennyson. So no Evan Roos and also no Paul de Villiers in the starting lineup, or actually off for the bench for the Stormers, which I think is a little bit of a surprise. But at the end of the day, once again, it's an away game. They feel like they've done enough in their first games to be able to secure that spot in the round of 16. So this one more so just testing the depth of the overall squad. Yuri Matia and also Duvanacha will be the 9 and 10 combination. Luke Berger out on the left wing. Damian Valimza, he slots in at 12. Probably one of the surprising inclusions of this lineup with the amount of change that they have made, but they needed a captain, and that is where we do see Valimza step up. Hudson Berger's in the midfield alongside him. And then Dylan Mart, who has been quite dangerous for the Stormers since joining up with this team. And Warwick Lant, he is there as the number 15. But looking through at the comments, we have got there Kyle Julius is here. And I believe it is his birthday today because yesterday he did say it was the day before. So happy birthday to you, Kyle. We have got the, yeah, I know, very hot. In Cape Town, I am suffering. Says Oki there. Hello, young man. Said please and tease. Welcome in. Hope you're doing very well. Come on, you Quins. Says Sebastian. And also we have got there go the Stormers. Says Purple Dragon. And also we have got the I wish we spoke yesterday. I'm just saying with my birthday was today. Just to keep you updated on the game today. Says Cole. So yeah, hopefully you have been having a great birthday so far. Still relatively early, I believe, in terms of the day. So plenty of time left for plenty more rugby and excitement throughout the day. Of course, at the same time as this game, there is Munster versus Toulon also taking place. We're going to be doing what we did yesterday with the Leinster La Rochelle and Sale Sharks game. And we were giving updates on what was happening in that other contest as well. Munster coming as the underdogs. So two actually URC sides as the underdogs for their matches. First up here, later on today, we got Bordeaux versus Northampton. That is a repeat of the final that we saw in last season's Champions Cup. I feel like no one is backing the Harlequins, says Big Rig Joe, after Sebastian's just said, come on, you Quins. I feel like Sebastian, they're his side. He's going to back them no matter what. But the Quins have been in a little bit of a rough patch. And it's got to the point how even on social media, the team management, or at least the social media side of things, they've apologized for recent performances. This is definitely not the Harlequins side we are used to seeing, but that doesn't mean that they can't get something going here. Now, recent form for this Harlequins side, as you can see there, losing to Northampton in the Premiership, 66 points to 21. They lost up against Sale, 43 points to 17, and then the game prior up against Bristol, 40 points to 14. Now, they've had some good moments in those games, but there has also been a lot of mistakes from the Harlequins, which has left the side a little bit frustrated in terms of the lack of, at times, intent, and it just seems like they're in those repeated phases at the moment. They had a good game up against Leinster in the Champions Cup. They weren't able to get the victory, but scored 28 points up against a side that does look like maybe one of the favourites heading into the later stages. And then a great win over Bayern, 68 points to 14. So Premiership-wise, they are struggling, but Champions Cup-wise, they're doing all right. So I feel like there is a little bit of a bonus there for the Quins. At the moment, they sit in 8th place in the Premiership, 9 games played with just the 2 victories. And to put that into perspective, we look at the Stormers, their opposition here. They are currently on a brilliant run, 8 wins from 8. The way that it sits for them at this point in time, they have got a points differential of plus 136, just a little bit behind Glasgow, but of course the game in hand for the Stormers side, which does make it even more impressive with where they sit on the overall standings. They have been on a run and a half, currently sitting on a, like I mentioned, big winning streak, not just in the URC, but also across the Champions Cup too, beating the Bulls, the Lions, La Rochelle, and also having a relatively close game with Bayern. Just shows you the difference between Bayern at home and Bayern away. And also when it comes to those selections, can make big changes as well. But this is the way that the group sits at the moment. Leinster are sitting top of the bunch after a great win over La Rochelle. That game was a last-minute thriller. At times it wasn't the best rugby in the middle patch, but boy did it finish well. Last 15 minutes is definitely worth a watch if you haven't watched that game already. The Harlequins, they are sitting in 3rd alongside La Rochelle on the 6 points, and just ahead of them the Stormers sitting 2 wins from 2. They sit there on the 9. The last 2 times that these two sides have met, and they have only met twice, it was a last 16 game. The Stormers victorious over the Harlequins, 32 points to 28 back in 2023. And then the Harlequins most recent up against the Stormers. That one, even though it says 2024, and that seems like an eternity to go, it was actually only about 13 months. The Harlequins in that game winning 53 points to the 16. And I've actually got that Stormers lineup that we're going to look through a little bit later on, just to see the comparison to what they've got now. We have got there, I have to, contractual obligation. Says Sebastian, oh, our season is awful, there's no hiding it. Says Sebastian, and I Hamish and everyone says, hey, no, welcome and hope you're doing extremely well. One moment, I'll move you back to the middle, there we go. And Northampton are on fire. They are a brilliant side at the moment, Northampton. So going up against Bordeaux in France, like that's just going to be such a good game of rugby, and I hope it is one that lives up to expectation. We're going to be covering it on the channel. I was initially going to be doing Saracens versus Toulouse, but I'll probably end up watching that game after a little bit of sleep. Although it depends on what time I'm starting work as well. Good afternoon and morning, mates. Says a Flesh and welcome in. And they are at a low point after losing Bill Millard, says Sam. And also, I need help with my Subaru picks for this game. And Ospreys versus Zebra. Yeah, see, Ospreys, Zebra is a hard one to pick, isn't it? Because I think Ospreys, they're away from home, right, in that game. And we have got there Crimea River, mate. You could be a Scarlets fan. Yeah, I did see they lost to Poe, didn't they? In their last contest. It was slightly unfortunate. What time the game start? Game is starting in 10 minutes' time. So we are pretty close to the kickoff of this contest. And yeah, looks like a overcast day at the Quins home stadium. It's actually a battle of the teams with DHL. The start of their names, both major sponsors of these sides. Hamish, you're looking absolutely fabulous again, says Ruth. And Quins aren't going anywhere without a big fight. Well, that's the thing. People just want to see that Harlequins of old. In terms of, you know, there was a patch, I would say probably 2 to 3 years ago, how you could never write a Quins side out. Because even if they were down by 30 points, and don't get me wrong, they were down by 30 points quite a few times throughout their run, but they found a way of getting back into a game and dominating that last kind of 30, 20 or so minutes. We haven't seen that as of late. Perhaps up against a younger Stormers side here, that is when they really have to just throw caution to the wind, because at the end of the day, with where they sit on the overall standings, if they score 4 tries here, it is massive for them, and it's pretty important in terms of getting ahead of La Rochelle, just in terms of those seedings. We have got there, Hamish, did you play cricket again? We did play cricket, yep. We did lose, but I would say it wasn't the worst game we've ever played. Like, we actually had some decent moments. We had a guy come in and fill in for us, and unfortunately he blew a calf muscle, so he's probably out for like 9 months now, or maybe not 9, but there'll be quite a few, unfortunately. It's going to be a big one. And to have Quins by 1 and Zebra by 2, says Hayno there, so it might not be a mile off. I think the thing is, if the Quins play well here, they have got potential of getting close to 50 points. And that's That's a crazy statement to make with the fact that the Stormers have been so strong. But at the same time, you just never know what a young away side are going to do. But we've seen the Quins challenged away from home, the Stormers challenged away from home, and they've got over the line. But does this side, without a Sasha and without maybe a couple of their frontline players, no Cobus Reinach, who has been quite an impact player for the Stormers when starting or making his way off the bench. Nedeling Fouchier, he is missing from this contest. No Evan Ruiz, Paul de Villiers missing from this game too. Some of the players who will just rip that ball away when the opportunity arises. This is the side that they put out last time up against the Harlequins when they did get defeated by around that 40-point margin. So there are a few similarities. We see Yuri Matia once again stepping up as that number 10. Clayton Blomekes, he is nowhere to be seen, but we do see Wada Kalant at 15 for this contest. But overall, it was another game that they were missing some of those frontline guys that you normally like to see for the Stormers. Angelo Davids, that was back when he was having opportunities for the Stormers side rather than playing for the Lions. The pace of Sinatla wasn't quite enough to be able to help them in the right direction on that day. But it's a whole different day now. We'll wait and see whether or not the momentum changes. Who looks best so far this competition? I would say from the... See, that's the thing. Some sides have played 3 games, some sides have played 2. From their first 2 games, it's very hard to say that Bordeaux don't look the real deal. And the same could actually be said about a few of the other sides right up the top. You know, someone like a Northampton have been looking pretty solid throughout this competition as well. But, I mean, Leinster having 3 wins from 3, that's something that not too many sides have got at the moment in the competition. These are the 2 groupings. Glasgow, they've been looking pretty solid alongside even someone like a Sale Sharks who have just had that 1 loss. Bath and Edinburgh, they have both had 2 wins, 1 loss on their side of the draw. And then in this group, yeah, it's hard not to say Leinster, but at the same time, I do feel like whoever wins this game, you know, if it's the Stormers, they'd still be undefeated, and their winning streak would have to be up to, it's already up to double figures, I believe, but that would be about 11 or 12 in a row now for the Stormers if they are victorious for this game. Northampton looking pretty tasty, and then he's gone nom nom nom. The Bristol Bears did look solid in their game up against the Bulls, but then I do think that conceding 49 points is probably the big concern for the Bears. At the same time, though, I feel like as long as you're conceding a lot of points and you're winning, it's just, you know, it's all right. But if you're conceding a lot of points and losing, then that's when you've got to have a bit of an adjustment. We have got there, losing isn't a huge deal. It's how you play your game. Says Ruth, in 2021, we won the Premiership and we had decent performances in the following seasons. But this one is almost rock bottom stuff. Says Sebastian, I can't believe it's so long ago, to be honest. And I know that that probably hurts as a Harlequins fan to hear, but like the fact that 2021 is that patch where they were in great form, it honestly doesn't feel like that long. Which makes you wonder where the last 4 years have gone in the world of rugby. It's just completely disappeared. All of a sudden, we're getting closer to that next World Cup. Toulouse and Toulon, says Ruth. And yeah, one of those 2 sides are going to be in action in the very near future. Toulon taking on Munster in the match that is taking place on the other side of the Champions Cup draw. And we are going to be giving you updates in terms of what is happening for that match as well. But 5 minutes away from the kickoff of this contest. Do, of course, let me know your score predictions in the comments down below. A big match just around the corner too between Northampton and Bordeaux. We're going to be covering that one just like we did Leinster versus La Rochelle yesterday. And tell you what, like I said, it was a last-minute thriller between those 2 sides. Hopefully we get the same in this contest as well as the next one around the corner as well. But both of these sides will be at least chasing bonus points. If the Stormers can get themselves 1 or 2, they still have the opportunity to top the group. There is still one more round of the Champions Cup. Just looking quickly in terms of what is happening next week. It's pretty small writing, but that is how many games are taking place for this Champions Cup competition. The Harlequins are going up against La Rochelle in France. So for me, this is the Quins' last big opportunity to make a run for that top 2. If they lose this game, they're probably going to finish 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th, depending on how some of the other sides go. In terms of what is coming up here for this Stormers side, they have got themselves the game taking place right smack bang in the middle up against the Leicester Tigers. Now, that's not an easy game, but the benefit that they've got is it is taking place in South Africa. Leicester Tigers just coming off a victory of their own, gets them slightly back on the right track, and they can kind of halt the momentum of this Stormers side and stop them from progressing as far in terms of those seedings, or we will see the Stormers undefeated. We have to wait and see what happens with that Leinster-Bayern game as well. But some great games taking place next week. We're going to be covering as many of them as we can on the channel, alongside the Sevens 3 League that has taken place, involving sides like Samoa, Tonga in the men. And in the women's, we're going to see sides like South Africa and Argentina getting themselves the chance to earn some serious points. But close to the kickoff of this contest, ladies and gents, less than 5 minutes away. Could you do a video on the Bulls? Maybe have a few Bulls or South African rugby fans on. Says Shush. See, the thing is with the Bulls at the moment, I feel like, that question of what's going wrong with them gets asked a huge amount. But I feel like it's just above my knowledge, to be completely honest. Like, the players that they've got are good enough to win games. The coaching staff, given the right players, actually are good enough to get wins too. But something about the way that it's working at the moment for the Bulls, well, it just isn't, unfortunately. But yeah, I feel like it's one of those ones that they aren't a mile away from getting it right. But unfortunately, for a side that used to be so dominant, every game that it takes them to adjust is going to hurt that little bit more for loyal Bulls supporters who have stuck by them throughout the good times and the bad. We have got the Imagine if Glasgow get a bonus point win next week against the Saris and get like home field advantage the whole war. Says Kahu there. Well, that's the thing. If you finish top seeding, you're pretty well set. Although I think the final was on neutral territory. Just like it was last year. I think that game was played between Bordeaux and Northampton at the Principality Stadium, I want to say. By the sounds of it, the final was going to be taking place in Spain. What do you think of the Bulls game? I thought there were improvements made by the Bulls in certain regards. We've got to remember, this is a side that in their last 3 games prior to this only scored 2 tries. And at least they scored more in this most recent game, scoring themselves, I want to say it was about 7 tries in that contest. So that is an improvement. It's just the fact that they conceded so many tries that hurts them. And it's just the starts to their game. They're not quite getting their momentum early. And they're just making it impossible for themselves to be able to get back into a game, even though they got close, which I think is also a little bit of a testament to this Bulls side and showing heart for one of the first times in quite some time. And go the Stormers, enjoy your game with good solid tries, playing a running game. Says Mary there, and g'day all y'all. Says a win. So welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing well. Both sides making their way out onto the field. Damien Willemse are just having a last-minute conversation there with Ollie Kebble. Looks fired up at the moment, Willemse. Got the serious face on for this contest. Looking forward to this one. Hoping the Stormers are on form today. And it's sad how the Bulls are unable to win anymore, but at least they scored more yesterday. They can come back for sure, says. So that actually turned into almost like a poem in that regards too, the way that that's been written. But yeah, they are slowly getting there, the Bulls, I think. But it's just the one how, like, it takes too long to be able to get, with the fact that the season, it is quite long, but it's short, if that makes sense. As soon as you lose a few games, you're pretty much out of the running. And the Bulls are not quite at that period yet. I'd say the Sharks are getting pretty close to it. We have got the, I was on Rugby Guru now for a short while, conversing with my real friends. Says Bruce, I assume you're saying that your real friends were over there. So why did you leave your real friends? We have to there, keep your eye on Jack Kenningham. Says Ruth, yeah, this is a very dangerous loose forward trio here for the Harlequins. They have got Chandler Cunningham himself, Alex Dombrand, and Jack Kenningham as the 3. And that is where, for the Stormers, I do feel like Evan Ruiz and Paul de Villiers would have been the perfect players to match those guys. Sadly, we don't get to see that, but that doesn't mean that these guys who are in that loose forward trio will struggle. Nika Amushikeli is the referee in charge of this one, the Georgian. But we are ready to go. Toulon versus Munster are about to kick off to Marcus Smith. He's got the strapping around his forehead at the moment. Must have taken a bit of a cut before the match got underway, but we're ready to go. The Quins kicking off this one at the Stoop. And another match of the Champions Cup does get underway. The Stormers taking it nicely off kickoff. And that is actually a very nice take, because there was a player thrown up in front of him from there. It have easily been a handling error, something that, to be fair, the Harlequins have had a few of them throughout their recent games, and they still have been able to continue that winning streak in emphatic fashion. Nicely taken under the high ball there for Yuri Matia. All now available for the Stormers. They sit about 40 metres out from their own goal line. Duvanacha going back across there into the pocket. Finds Yuri Matia. Sends up the crossfield kick. It's a good chase from Dylan Martin. Tell you what, he won the aerial challenge. Had he hung on to that, he could have been away, but it is in the hands of the Quins. After the early knock on from Dylan Martin, Chandler cutting himself, trying to bump off one challenge of Ollie Kebble. Eventually wrestled down by Ruben Fidieren. My sister is at the game. Come on, you Quins, says Eric there. And come on, you Quins, says Haino. And how's Hamish? Let's go the Stormers, says Anthony. Kicked up high. Oh, that looked like a collision there. I'm not sure whether or not... Oh, no, penalty advantage, or at least it's... Yep, obstruction. The call against the Stormers early, which does give the Harlequins a chance. You'd say it's probably not at the post because of the fact that it's about 55 metres out. It would be a pretty tough kick to start the day. Already we do see a scrum feed taking place in that Munster versus Toulon game. Once again, we're going to be keeping you updated all throughout the contest for that one too. That one's going to be put into touch, sitting about maybe 20 metres out from the line for the Harlequins. A decent bit of distance on that kick from Marcus Smith. I think there is a disconnect in the way the Boks play and the way the franchise teams play because of coaching mismatches. That nullifies the impact of the Boks and the franchises. So here's Ruby. Now going off to the right-hand side. Oh, that looked forward from the Harlequins. Referee does say that it was flat. Note now he goes back. And we're going to get the first scrum of the day. Score prediction 37-10 to the Stormers. No one can catch them at the moment, says Antonio. Is that including the fact that they've got these changes in their lineup, Antonio? Or is that based off if they had the likes of Asasha, Evan Ruiz, Paul de Villiers, Needling Fouchier, and all of those type of players? But it could happen. I mean, the Quins have been a bit up and down in terms of recent form. They are on a 3-match losing streak from their last 3 premiership fixtures. The last game of the Champions Cup, they put on 60 over Bayern, but very hard to judge what they can do here up against the Stormers side that they haven't faced for 13 months. Last time playing them, Quins brought up 50. Such an unpredictable one, this one. And honestly, it's just down to the fact that the Harlequins are so unpredictable at this point in time. Marcus is a little lad with a big boot. Now that's a big push at scrum time. The Stormers get themselves the early penalty. Come on, you Quins, says Richard. Including the changes, they are doing everything right at the moment, but also including recent form, says Antonio. But yeah, a 10-match winning streak or so for the Stormers at this point in time. Zachary Porthin doing well. And that one has found touch. I see the replay here. Who got that? Oh, it was the big push on this near side from Porthin, sending Curad backwards. Good afternoon, says Martin. Welcome in. You are doing extremely well and hope you are excited for the games of rugby that are taking place today. Later on, Northampton, they're going head-to-head up against Bordeaux. And then also after that, there is the game between Toulouse and Saracens. We are just covering the next game, though. Is that Toulouse versus Saracen? One's more than likely going to overlap with work. Looked like a little bit of an injury there for Lucanio Vokozela. Looks like he's going to be able to continue. Go the Stormers, says Martin. And we have got there, great Annie, says Ruth. Now Vokozela ready to throw this one in. Does get it into the middle, finds the hands of Ruben Finnegeren. Bordeaux versus Northampton is going to be a cracker, says Destroying Dumb People. Yeah, if it's anything like the final last year, should be a little bit of a seesaw between the two sides. Bit of a counter-ruck there from the Harlequins who managed to take that ball back. Now going for the kick and behind it is the young halfback in this situation, Lucas Friday. The ball's just going to keep on rolling. Yuri Matia waiting for the bounce of the ball 5 metres out from his own line. Looking for distance on the kick, but doesn't manage to find touch. Looks like there might be a head knock here for, I think it's Damien Valimza. In fact, a cross kick attempted by Marcus Smith. It rolls into touch 25 metres out from the Stormers line, but there might be a bit of concern here for the Stormers skipper in this contest. Our first question, are the Bulls full strength? No, but they're still a pretty strong looking team, even without the likes of Asasha and Evan Ruiz. See, I like to put Paul de Villiers now in that same category as those guys because of how well he's been playing, right? It's actually his own teammate. If it was the opposition, you'd be giving a yellow or a red card for that clean out from a Stormers player on Damien Valimza. But we'll wait and see what the verdict is here, whether or not Valimza has to make his way off the field for an HIA. But he looked like he wasn't feeling too flash. Looks like he's going to continue for now. I did check him out, though. Making sure he is all right. Problem with hype, though, is that exciting matches can be disappointing. Like Box versus Island, says Big Rick. Proudly Stormers says Martin. Hello, all hello. Says Rudy, welcome in. And also, we have got the Northampton and Bordeaux fans would be getting nervous about Glasgow picking up bonus point every game. Possible number 1 seed up for grabs, says Kahu. Yeah, it's actually going to be a really intriguing kind of finish to see who actually gets that number 1 spot. Now going off to the right-hand side, Damien Valimza with the skip pass, although number 2 spot is also crucial because of that neutral final. Now, Stormers in position at the moment after being able to rip that ball back. Ruben van Heeren, and in fact it was the aerial challenge that got the Stormers the possession. Quins to win by 20 plus. Also says Barry. It's a better team without someone Murat. Says Martin, now passed across to the left-hand side. Short ball from Waterkaland. Gets it out into the hands of the young winger in this contest. Luke Berger, big counter ruck there from the Quins, grubbering the ball forward. It's actually their big man in the number 4 jersey. Beautifully taken and a bit of skill shown by Guido Petty. Now another Argentine with ball in hand, Delgado. Going off Friday, goes to Smith, short ball, Tyrone Green, good low chopping tackle by Dylan Mark, Harlequins player, back up on his feet, that time it was Murley. Now Chandler cutting himself, going across, great step there, this is a chance for Nick David, 7 metres out from the try line, and the Harlequins exactly where they want to be. Marcus Smith thought about the short pop pass, didn't manage to get it away. Tyrone Green, another step. Lose a couple more metres there, the Quins. And Hamish can't believe Harlequins are rated so badly. Yes, says DJ. I think it is based off their premiership form. Champions Cup-wise, though, they are sitting not too badly. They've had 1 win, 1 loss. The only loss they've had is to Leinster, and a massive 60-point on the board for them up against Bayonne, and they've crossed the line here up against the Stormers. First try of the day. That's looking a little bit like Jack Kittingham, I should say. Just got to wait for the number. Oh, no, it might be Kieran Treadwell. They actually look quite similar. Turn around. I need to see the number. It was number 7, Jack Kittingham. Someone said to watch out for him, and he has now scored himself the first try, but that was down to the counter ruck from the Harlequins, bulldozing through the breakdown, getting the possession back, and then making the absolute most of it with some dangerous attacking runs, and then crossing the line. Come on, Glasgow. Number 1 slot for sure, says Chris Kelly. If the Stormers are top of the table at the end of the group stage, will they be able to host the home semi-final? I think they do. I think their semi-finals are at home, I want to say, for these sides. And then from there, the final is on the neutral territory. Jack Kittingham, I said so dangerous, says Ruth. And try, and Stormers 45, Harlequins 15. That kick has gone over, making the score now 7-0 in favour of the Harlequins. That is exactly the start that they would have been after to try and take away some of the early momentum from the away side. This game far from over, and this sounds like an HIA. I think this will be for Damien Valimza. Yep, and this is a huge hit, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm not so sure he's going to pass this. So the Stormers, 7 minutes into the game, would lose their captain in a game where they have taken experience out. So that is quite substantial, and we'll wait to see if Valimza can return, but if he can't, that is a huge hit to the Stormers team. It's going to be a huge boot downfield from the Harlequins, kicking it from 122 to the other. And now off the boot, kick downfield from Waterkaland. I will mention it means that I think it is going to be either Ndlovu or Swart who has made his way onto the field. Just to replace Damien Valimza for now. And I know, says Martin, yeah, it could be a huge one for the Stormers if they lose Damien Valimza. And not just for his captaincy, but also just for the amount of skill that man has. The way that he can change a game. Nice stepping on the outside here from Nick David. He is making it very tough to be able to drag him down on the halfway line now for the Quins. Liu's in there. Backline, Marcus Smith almost went straight through, but a brilliant low tackle made there by, I want to say it was Ollie Kerbal, and the penalty does get awarded to the Harlequins. And Valimza, shame, says Ruth. I'm going to see it here. Who was it? In fact, that was Low now, who got that tackle round the bootlaces. Had to hang on to make sure that he wasn't sneaking through. Big loss for the Stormers, says Martin. 10 minutes through on this contest. I will mention 10 minutes or so passing in that Toulon versus Munster game as well. There is a bit of a stoppage there. It is still 0-0 in that contest. Just showing the replay of the try again. It's just that short pop pass up. I think it was actually one of the locks who played halfback. It was Kieran Treadwell who decided to go quickly past that ball into the hands of his teammate. And just using that scramble defence against the Stormers, Kieran Treadwell. They're loaded with strong players. Says Ruth. And this will be one of those tries early on in this game that does make the home crowd Quins very happy, but they will know the job's not done. They have seen this side have up and down form throughout recent weeks, but like I said, Champions Cup, they're not actually sitting too badly. With the exception of a loss to Leinster, they are looking very handy, but that is going to look like a knock-on. But it is play on at this point in time. The Harlequins, 25 metres out from the line. Marcus Smith thought about the little chip in behind it. Sits up beautifully into the hands. That is the bounce of the ball that sometimes you need, and it's another try. Caden Murley scores it out wide, and the Quins have 2 in a row early on up against the Stormers side. Marcus Smith, he went for the chip in behind. It didn't work out initially as it was charged down by the Stormers, but it was only charged down straight into the hands of Bryn Bradley, who was able to grab it, and then a nice wide cutout pass into the hands of Murley. And when you give that man space out wide, he's very hard to stop. Tell you what, Yuri Matia, he'll be frustrated because he literally did the hard work of charging it down, but then it just sat perfectly into the hands of the Harlequins on attack. Sometimes you need that bounce of the ball to give you some momentum. If I was going to place a bet on the Stormers winning it, it would be now, says Ruby. Just out of curiosity, I will check to see what they are sitting at. I know they were $3 underdogs actually heading into this game, which did surprise a few people. But once again, this is a strong Quins side when they find their rhythm, which it looks like they are currently. But at this point in time, I have to wait to see it updated. But the line was 14.5 in favour of the Harlequins, just to put that into perspective. But the kick has missed from Marcus Smith, so makes the score 12-0 in favour of the Harlequins. They're just talking about how this try was strong, but the element of confusion is what is helping the Harlequins when they're getting an attack going at the moment. Oh, that's off the side of the boot from inside of the 22, though. Not quite the kick that Luke Northmore would have been looking for. Ahmad Khan, Hartzenberg and Sarshaw went to Bishop College. No one playing for the Stormers, or not all playing for the Stormers, I should say, sorry, from Katzenel. And we do see Hartzenberg in that number 13 jersey for today. He now actually becomes, I believe, the experienced option in terms of that midfield combination with Falimza off the field. Yet to return from his HIA. I'd assume that it would be close to 10 minutes that he'd be off for. That would be a silly bet. But if the odds are wild, I would take the chance, says Ruby. So yeah, currently Stormers are $7 underdogs up against this Harlequin side. In fact, sorry, $7.50 underdogs with the way that it sits currently. And they have got themselves an attacking chance. Duvanacha. Oh no, in fact, he's going to leave it for a lock. Have a pick and go there. A low tackle made on Vokozela, driven backwards. Duvanacha now passing it across. Yuri Matia going into the hands on the left-hand side. Skip pass out wide. Not a lot of forward momentum, unfortunately, there for Luke Berger, but he creates some, gets a couple extra metres for the away side. This is where they do have to be the next side to score. Nice still and a dummy from Yuri Matia. Just tried to rush the pass, though. Who does Ben Earl play for? I believe he's still a Saracens boy, if I am correct. Now Murley passes across, little short pop pass. That is beautiful work from the Quins. Now Northmore moving forward, 35 metres out from the line. This is a dangerous looking attack at the moment from the Harlequins. Marcus Smith goes for the cross kick straight into the hands of, I believe it's one of the big locks, inside pass. Chandler cutting himself, receives the ball, but he knocks it on. Just couldn't quite get it away to Tyrone Green. This could have led to another try scoring opportunity here for the Harlequins. She's back and forth between these two sides at the moment in terms of those running meters. Strong start, something's not right, says Sebastian. But now, going to be the ball in hands of the Stormers. Already 14 minutes have passed in this game. It is going to fly by if both sides play at the tempo that they're playing at the moment. Down the wing, it's Luke Berger. Wrestled, I believe, into touch, or at least it looked very close. Going to say play on, though. And yeah, Stormers, I want to send a little second string team. Touch your toes. Take it like a man, says Mike. Now, wide cutout pass. Ben Jason Dixon with a nice step. Passes one more. Finds Dylan Mart. That looked a little bit too high. And driven into touch. Huge collision there with Swart. And Earl plays for Saracens. Says John. He's been there since high school. Says Katzenell. Yeah, some guys just don't transfer anywhere. They just stick to that same side throughout their whole career. There's something quite impressive about it, when you see the amount of time and the amount of games. Like some of those guys who get to like 200 caps for their side is absolutely incredible. Normally it's those guys in the front row, but I wonder what number is Ben Earl up to now for Saracens in terms of caps? He'd have his 100. Wait, how old is Ben Earl? Ben Earl I don't think is as old as it seems, just because of how long he's been around for. He came up through the under-20 system, didn't he? I'm going to find it. Well, we have got a stoppage in play here between the two sides. Right, they haven't got it in order of... There we go, Ben Earl. How many games has Ben Earl played for Saracens? They don't have their caps, I don't believe. Yeah, they don't actually... Oh, no, sorry, 46. Okay, he's got way less than I thought he did. Now, I see taken. Although they do play Premiership Rugby during the Six Nations, don't they? So I guess that's probably where he's missed out on a few. Apparently, Toulon and Munster, it is sitting as 0-0 in that contest. Agreed, it's awesome to have fellas sticking with clubs through and through. Means a lot to the fans, says Chris Kelly there with hashtag Duncan Weir. And Yo Sup says, Padza, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Currently 12-0 in favour of the Harlequins in this contest. They've got off to a flying start in this game, and already they've got themselves another attacking chance 15 minutes in. Tyrone Green trying to step back inwards, and he's wrestled down. Oh, there was almost an ankle buster there for Luke Berger. I've got to say, Ben Earl has played with William Webb Ellis. And didn't he play at Bristol? Breaking the line. Huge pace shown by the Quins. Their locks. Oh no, it's Dom Brandt this time who goes through. And that is try number 3 for the Harlequins. 17-0. This is what the Harlequins fans want to see. I need to be up in like 5 hours. I'm surprised you are up now then. Will this be the Stormers' first defeat? If they lose, it will be. Yep, so they are undefeated in the Champions Cup currently. Undefeated in the URC currently as well. Now, this is a stat that I hope doesn't become a reality, but I'm sure it's one that someone out there who's an absolute statistician wouldn't know. What is the biggest losing margin for a side that were on a 10 or more win streak when they suffered a defeat? Because if the Stormers are not careful, they may break a record in some regards here, and not the type of record that you want. I'm scared I might oversleep though. You could set like 15 alarms. That's normally what I end up doing. I set one for about 5 minutes before I should be up, and then I set another one 2 minutes later, another one 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, and then eventually you just get sick of hearing it buzzing, and it forces you out of bed. I want this to be the Stormers' first defeat. Oh no, I read that one. Was everyone underestimating the Quins or overestimating the Stormers? Oh, see, that's a tricky one though, because I would say it's possibly a little bit of both. We have good there with Hugo. The Quins. Dobson wants to send a C team to go play versus the Quins. Says Mike. Oh, kick downfield, although it's partially charged down by the Stormers. Zachary Porthen taking it nicely. 17 minutes in at the moment, though, and not the start to the match that the Stormers would have been after. This is where you would have someone like a Paul de Villiers who would normally get a big turnover. That gives them some attack and momentum. Oh, another... What's happened there? We're going back for an initial penalty. Croc roll penalty against Hudson-Berg, so that will be the penalty to the Harlequins again here. The All Blacks suffered their largest defeat in history, losing South Africa by 33 points. That is correct, although they weren't on a 10-match losing streak at the time, were they? I think they had lost to Argentina only a few weeks prior. Alarms don't work for me. I'm a deep sleeper, says Padza. Surely there's some way you can wake yourself up, though, right? Rather than staying up all night. Because I would think the longer that you stay up beforehand, then if you do fall asleep, you're probably going to sleep through. But like, I'd recommend, even if you're not planning on sleeping, just to set one. I am the alarm. Says Ruby, and thoughts on the Stormers, maybe feeling the pressure given recent performance of the South African sides. I don't think it will play a huge factor for them, purely because of the fact that they have won games away from home as well as at home, and they've looked like the most consistent South African side. So I feel like that's something that they'd use and say, like, that's not the reason behind it. I think it's just the fact that the Quins have come out really firing, and the Stormers have missed a couple tackles on defence, left a couple gaps, and a Harlequin side that are dangerous like this are a side that score 50 points often. So they have to slow them down. Look at the comeback Stormers. Out against Munster. This isn't worrying yet, says it's drawing dumb people. Absolutely. The Stormers side, if they can find their rhythm, a lot of changes across their starting lineup means maybe a little bit of a lack of cohesion just from the get-go. This game's far from over. We saw that yesterday between the Bulls and Bristol when we had 110 points scored between the two sides. That one still became close enough that it could have gone either way. Marcus Smith kicking it in behind, nicely taken at the back from Watakalant. But the biggest concern at the moment, I feel, for the Stormers side is the fact that Damian Valimza has not returned to the field from his HIA. Oh, until now. He's just made his way back on. Must have heard me. And normally I am good unless I get to sleep late. Says Beds Blaze, would you say that 2:22 a.m. is late? Because it sounds pretty late, but Swart will make his way off the field. Valimza comes back on. That is a massive, massive bonus for the Stormers team. Are we going to get any new Union kits for Rugby World Cup 2024? Or sorry, 27? I think there'll be a few new designs on the kits. There normally is for the World Cup year. Oh, that looked like it was almost forward there to Don Brandt. And onto the ball there for the Stormers. Should be their penalty, and referee awards it there too. Damien is a machine they need, and hey, says Ryan Gaines, welcome in. You are doing very well. Hope you've been enjoying the rugby that we've been seeing so far. 20 minutes through this game, 19-0 for the Harlequins. So a brilliant start to the contest, but it is far from over. So we have a lot of work to do in this matchup to be able to secure the win. Currently in that Toulon versus Munster game, it is currently sitting 3-0 to Munster. Yes, but for you, it's early. Says Padson, I saw Bristol game, WF was that, thought Bulls would just run through them, and Stormers are not clinical, says Katzenell. And just looking at the action areas in terms of that percentage, they haven't had a huge amount of time to be clinical in the overall attack, but now starting to sit in the right position. We have there playing catch-up rugby now, says Bruce. It's going to be called as a rolling maul. And that ball looks like it is going to be in there, dragged down by Blue, says Nika Amusha-Kelly. Means they did have to get it out of there. Big shot on Damian Valimza. Driven backwards. Harlequins once again going for the counter ruck. They're almost able to turn it over, but Duvanaka does well to be able to spot the danger and get that possession back. Now Yuri Matia goes across to Hartzenberg. Only sitting 40 metres out from the line. The Stormers. Ruben van Heeren goes to Yuri Matia. Just going backwards at the moment, the Stormers. Sorry, I didn't hear that, Ham. I had an ad. And we have got there, the odds must be 10 to 12, or 10 or 12 to 1 for the Stormers to win now. At the moment, they sit, another penalty to the Harlequins. That won't help. In fact, that probably adds about $1 onto the odds at this point in time. It's currently suspended, but the line in this game is minus 28.5, which means that the bookmakers are saying that they will lose this game, the Stormers, by about 28 points, which I think would be a bit brutal. And I do see them coming back a little bit into this contest. Out of the Sharks till yesterday, they scored one try throughout their 80 minutes. They did lose. Hopefully most people know that by now, 26 points to 10 in that contest. They just didn't really get going, but the Sale Sharks did nicely in that game. I believe they worked their way towards the bonus point victory. It does make that group very interesting. Heading into the last round of the Champions Cup next week. Be a bit brutal if it was tomorrow. I think these sides need a bit of a rest after some of the physical battles that we've seen. But the Harlequins, they will be 10 metres out from the line with another line-out chance here. Jack Walker, the man to throw it in. If the Harlequins can score now, that would actually secure them the bonus point already in this contest, which would be a pretty substantial one for them this early on. See whether or not they can make the most of it. Short ball And the line out going to the front. Now rolling maul. That ball transferring back into the hands of Walker. Lonell is told to get out of it. Now moving sideways for the Harlequins. Not really moving forward, so it has been ripped out the back, or at least trying to rip it out the back. Ruben van Heeren, though, he's gone through the middle. He's got his hands on the ball. He is not letting that one go, and that is brilliant work from Ruben van Heeren there. He just pretty much controlled that rolling maul all by himself, and then it got to the stage how I think there was a miscommunication. Lucas Friday was slapping the player on the back saying, give me the ball, and he wasn't releasing it. I think it was Jack Walker. Didn't want to give it back. And then from there, Ruben van Heeren, he had worked his way right through the middle of the rolling maul. Then the Harlequins player tried to go through his legs to pass it to the halfback. But by then, Ruben van Heeren was all over him. And in a strength battle, Lucas Friday was not winning that one. And that line out of touch of reality, the Stormers losing by 28. I may go for them crossing the line, says Ruby. And bring on the bomb squad. These guys are useless, says Bruce. I mean, I don't think they've got that same kind of impact off the bench that we would normally see, though, from the Stormers side. You know, they haven't got a Paul de Villiers, who's a player I've mentioned about 57 times already on this live stream. But, you know, he has been able to make the difference off of the bench in terms of keeping that momentum flowing. Van Heeren, says Ruth there. This is a tough game at the moment for the Stormers, and they have to find a way back into it, because what does this do to the younger players' confidence who this is their first opportunity in quite some time? They'll go into a side, you know, that has got a lot of stars that are missing in some regards, but, you know, next time that they are relied on to play, maybe they just doubt themselves a little bit if they do lose by a substantial margin here. Of course, away from home, it can always be a bit of a lottery for any side, but the Stormers had a pretty decent away record so far throughout the last 10 games, winning every single one of them. Now Duvenacher feeds the ball in to the scrum. Going to go down both front rows, but no penalty awarded for either. Damien Valimza hits it up 15 metres out from their own line. Now Ben Jason Dixon works it outside of the 22. Some good leg strength from that man before being dragged down by Don Brand. Oh, charge down kick from the Harlequins. Legs knocked out from underneath and picked up, looking for the offload. Oh, is that a deliberate knockdown? It doesn't matter, because it sits up for Chandler Cunning himself, and it is the bonus point try there for the Harlequins. They might check it. That was a really weird moment, though, because the Harlequins player, he dove on the ball, he got his hands on it, and then he just kind of knelt down, sitting there going, who am I passing this to? And Valimza did have to retreat a long way, but Chandler Cunning himself, he's getting credit for this one. We're going to see the replay. It was charged down initially by Jack Kenningham. Then from there, picked up. Yeah, tried to go for the pass. It did come off Damien Valimza's knee by the looks of it. Referee had a knock-on advantage against him, though. But that is try number 4 in this contest, and that is 24-0 for the Harlequins with a kick to come. It comes back to that question. Underestimating Quins, overestimating Stormers. I would have to say it's underestimating Quins, because they have been absolutely firing in this contest. And the thing is, just last week we saw the statement released, or it might have even been this week, that the Harlequins on their social media pretty much released a statement saying, look, we know we're not doing well. We're going to try our best to improve, because this hasn't been the season that we're after. And perhaps this is the turning point for this Harlequins side, because they're looking like a well-oiled machine at the moment. And ouch, Roof, your team is suffering. And also, in your view, has Marcus Smith ever been better than DuPont in terms of being versatile? So I assume you're not talking versatility as in like the multiple positions being able to play. But I would say that Marcus Smith, when given the opportunity to consistently play the same position over and over and learn like the players who are around him, he can be extremely dangerous. I don't know whether or not it's an easy comparison to make to a halfback like Antoine Dupont. In fact, I would have preferred if you had gone with like an Intermac, maybe, just because he is playing 10. But Zachary Porfin hits that ball up. But yeah, Marcus Smith, when he's firing, such a dangerous threat. This should bolster the Quins' confidence, says John. And what a lovely Sunday. Says Haino, and Stormers are as useful as an ashtray on a motorbike today. Says Bruce and the Quins there. Says Haino too. Now passed across. Yuri Matia. Now Damien Valimza. That's going to be dropped by the Stormers. Looked like it went. They looked forward, but he was facing backwards. So I think they've said it's all right. It might have been bouncing sideways initially. Right, I actually need some sleep. Good night, everyone, says Patsy. So we'll see you later on. Another penalty to the Harlequins. Jumping in off his feet, Zachary Porthin in the breakdown. And the Quins get themselves another penalty. Go the Quins, give it to him. No Vaseline, boys, says Mike. I need 70 points, says Haino. Is that what you backed in Super Brew? I swear you only backed the Quins by 1, didn't you? Or was it by 2? Or Stormers by 2? I think it was a close game that you were predicting. Currently in that Munster versus Toulon game, it is still 3 points to 0. So that one's looking like it's going to be the closer game out of these two, but this one's certainly the highest scoring. Stormers will win by 1 point. Says Julian there. And how's the weather conditions? It's a decent looking day. I don't think there's any rain that they are dealing with out there on the field, which is fantastic. But 29 minutes through already. That is one thing about a high scoring game. It just flies. Like already almost halfway through this contest. For the Stormers, I would say if they can score 1 try before half time, they've got a decent chance. Still having an opportunity to come back into this game, but you know, this is uncharted territory for the Stormers side, or at least by 26 points. Off through a gap again for Luke Northmore. Gets back up to his feet. Dragged down 40 metres out. Marcus Smith passing across. Finds Murley on the outside. Tyrone Green inside pass. This is clinical. And this is some brilliant rugby from the Quins. They score their 5th try of the contest. And it's out on the wing. Nick David, I believe, was the man who was in the support run. And it brings up another one for this Harlequin side in front of their home crowd. Quins 83, Stormers 3. Who was the 56-year-old scrum half of the Stormers. So that is Deval Duvanacha, who is there. But the inside pass to Tyrone Green. They had a pass on the inside, pass on the outside. Brilliant communication. They're not even looking on his outside. Not for my Super Brew to have some rugby peace. I need the Quins to win by a good 60, 70 points. Says Haino, go on Quins. Says John there too. But yeah, once again, brilliant try being scored by the Harlequins. This is very clinical from the side. One moment I'm about to sneeze, so I will very quickly mute. We are back and Marcus Smith adds the additional 2, making it 33-0. Very rough week for South African teams. Oof, says Destroying Dumb People. Speaking of South African teams, I think the Cheetahs are playing, aren't they? Up against Ulster. Is that game currently happening, or is that in... That might actually be in 27 minutes' time. I think that game kicks off. But now, it's going to be 33-0 after 31 minutes. And glory, glory, Harlequins, says John there. And Quinn's sprinting through, though. Or sprinting through now, says Ruth. Now another big shot coming in from the Stormers defence, trying to get into the breakdown. Was Damien Valimza just unable to turn it over. And the ref is bad, says Scooby there. And John Dobson will be pulling his hair out, says Bruce. Now that one slapped backwards. Kittingham tries to kick it in behind, but it is claimed by Waterkaland, Ruben van Heeren. A collision between him, a couple of those Quins forwards, but this is where the Stormers, like I mentioned, they need a try before the end of this half, and they've got more than enough talent to do it. An advantage in favour of the Stormers. That is for the Quins being offside. I want to say that's the first penalty against the Harlequins, or at least it feels like the first penalty in ages throughout this game. Stormers can afford to lose this one. This game is irrelevant, says Michael. And we'll come to the end of the winning streak of the Stormers. I feel like that's the one factor of it that they'll be disappointed about. The fact that like 10 victories in a row is now going to come to a close if they do lose this one. But, I mean, they're still going to be contenders, not just in the URC, but also in the Champions Cup. They've just shown clean breaks. 12 from the Harlequins, 1 from the Stormers so far. At 31-0, who would have guessed? Says Ruth. It's nicely taken by Ruben van Heeren. Here comes the first attacking chance for the Stormers in quite some time. They're 20 metres out from the line, getting the rolling ball marching in the right direction. Ball is on the back. Oh no, it's popped out the side. It looks like it was knocked on by the Stormers. And now the counter-attacking chance for the Harlequins. Passed on the outside. Northmore goes to Tyrone Green. Does drop it. Oh, he's almost tackled over the sideline there from David. In fact, it was Luke Berger, my apologies, to make the tackle there. This is lovely to see, says Haino. So the Quins can score 4 pass tries and be called great, says Foldy there. So how many of the 5 tries would you say were forward? So I assume it wasn't all of them. Marcus Smith from inside of the 22, and that was the big chance for the Stormers. It actually looked like the rolling ball was making some really good meterage, but I'm not sure what happened in the middle of it that stopped that ball from coming out the back, because that back line that the Stormers have got, they've got Hudson-Berg in the midfield. He's been impressive throughout the season. Balimza came back onto the field after that HIA head knock to leave him off the field for about 10 minutes. I do see a Munster versus Toulon. It is 6-0 in favour of Munster too. But now, 33 minutes, 33 seconds passing in this game. 33-0 for the Harlequins. A lot of 33s involved. Now, ready to feed this ball in for the Stormers. They're 22, 2 tries was forward. Okay, so theoretically still 19-0 up at the moment for the Harlequins in that case, which has still been a very clinical start to this game. They've been able to score some really impressive tries. Definitely the way that their forwards are combining with their backs. I feel like that's probably one of the underrated parts of their game here. This could get ugly scoreline. And Harlequins 50, Stormers 14. That's actually not a mile off the last time that these two sides played. The Harlequins were able to win that game about 53-16, I want to say it was. I've never been disappointed if I put 12 beers in Benji, and after 10 beers, there's only 2 left. It's a consolation prize. Oh, they're going back for another scrum reset here. Scoreboard ticking over for the Quins, says Ruth. Currently 5 minutes remaining in this first half. Oh, in fact, it's upgraded to a penalty there after their first initial free kick not too long ago. But Yuri Matea puts it into touch 7 metres out from the line. I'll say it once and I'll say it again. They need a try by halftime here, the Stormers, if they want any chance of coming back into this game. They have got more than enough capabilities of scoring multiple tries. We've seen that time and time again throughout this massive, impressive run that this side have been on. These are the last 4 games we have seen from the Harlequins. Some lower scoring games that we saw earlier on in the season, but still they are consistently bringing up, with the exception of that tough win over the Bulls, over that 25 points. So that would put them close in this game if they can have all the momentum second half. Now going off to the right-hand side, Duvanacha passes across to Ben Jason Dixon. And rip ball away there from the Harlequins, so they'll go back for the initial penalty once more. Paul got it dead wrong. All I'm going to say is Scotland versus Argentina. We had a lot of people in the first half saying that everyone got that game wrong too, and then it completely switched. So we have to wait and see. We're going to wait till the 80th minute to know if it's actually wrong. I'm not clear on the ruck rule. Why players spin from the side, preventing the scrum half to distribute quick ball, says Foldy. So I assume you're talking about something that the Quins have done. But yeah, you do have to initially try and roll away, which you are allowed, you're allowed an opportunity to roll away, which I think sometimes, depending on how the tackle is made, if you take more than a second, you normally end up with that advantage against you. But if you've literally just made the tackle, you are allowed to try and get out of there. And if you make a decent effort, the referee normally will go, okay, he's at least trying. It's the players who just lie in the rucks and don't move that normally piss the referees off. Stormers have conceded more points in the half an hour than they have from almost any game this season, says Ian Ustays in there. Looks like a head knock here for Jack Walker. They are just checking him out. And Stormers to get the big fat 0. And the Stormers need 3 tries in the first 15 minutes, second half. They could do it if they get a good lecture, says Ruby. Well, I always say it. If you score a certain amount in the first half, the opposition has the opportunity to score that same amount in the second. So, the Harlequins have come out absolutely firing, but if they get a yellow card or something happens that halts their momentum in the second half, that's the window that the Stormers need to get back into this game. And they've got an opportunity again, 5 metres out from the line. Big chance to be able to score their first points here. Speaking of first points, looks like Toulon, they are only 5 metres out from the Munster line at the moment in their game. 6-0 down for the home side, Toulon. Now, Vokozela needs a straight throw. He's gone to the back, nicely taken by the Stormers. That's got to be a penalty advantage there against the Harlequins, I would think, for where Kenningham has joined into that ruck or into that maul. That might need to be checked there. Was he legal in the way that he joined that rolling maul? I think Philims is asking the question because he actually ended up getting almost thrown across that rolling maul, or thrown across that line out, sorry, and then just joined in and grabbed that ball. I have to check what's the penalty going to be here, or is there going to be one? We're going to see the replay now. Yeah, see, he's ended up on the side of the Stormers. Now, I'm not the best at the rolling maul laws, but that just looked too easy to be able to just go around and be on the opposition side when it comes down. Am I reading the score right? 33-0. You are indeed 33-0 after 37 minutes. As a Glasgow fan, you're hoping for a tie, Bordeaux versus Northampton, or a very low-scoring game, says Kahu. And it could happen. I feel like those two sides could cancel each other out quite nicely. We don't mention that Argentinian game versus Scotland. The ups and downs of a Scotland fan, says Chris. Yeah, I do apologise for that reference. More so just the scoreline part of it, but of course that doesn't actually help anything. But if it makes you feel better, I've said that I feel like there are 4 contenders in the Six Nations and Scotland are one of them. So that evens it out, right? Just a little bit. That's going to be the penalty awarded to the Harlequins. As for front row collapsing. Marcus Smith now able to kick this one towards the sideline. Ollie Keeble rubbing his head there. Took a bit of a knock on the way down. And then Quins to score again. Connacht beating Montpellier well. Says Haino. One has gone into touch. Currently Toulon. They are playing with a man advantage up against Munster. And they do just score their first try in the contest for Toulon. I think they score it anyway. It looked like, yep, it is a try. They're checking for double movement. Harlequins taking that one now. If the player doesn't make contact with the maul, there isn't an offside line, so someone can come around and try and get the ball, says Haino. See, it just looked like, am I right in saying it just looked too easy? The way that he was there when the player landed? I'm surprised more teams don't. So how do you get penalised in that scenario? Is it that if you make contact too early? Because you could literally just chuck yourself in their side of the rolling maul and you're sweet as. Oh, that one's gone into touch. Oh, it is going to be a Harlequins line out here with just the 1 minute remaining. W. Toulon need my Super Brew points. And unlike yesterday, this game is not, or has not had defensive errors. Says Katzenell. And cheers, Hamish, says Chris there. And bro, is this what it feels like to lose? It's been a while. Says Wemma. Yeah, when was actually the last loss for the Stormers? It's been a long time. They've had a 10-match winning streak here. Oh, yeah, I'll tell you what. He's actually kicked it before he was in touch there, Damien Valimza. So he has a right to be a little bit frustrated there. They're talking about how it was difficult to see with the naked eye, but surely if it is then seen by the TMO, you'd reverse that. And a good game for the Quins. Says Roof. Oh, mistake there at the back from the Stormers. Just 7 seconds remaining in the half. Dylan Mart going to run this one back. Last season, says Haino. And what do you think of Batho's performance versus the Lions, or for the Lions yesterday? I haven't actually watched that game yet. I did see that the Lions got themselves the victory. But yeah, I haven't actually seen what Klakani was able to do in that game. By the sounds of it, though, sound like he had a decent showing. I saw someone was talking about comparing him to Henry Pollock now. It's the head-to-head comparison that they want to do. That is going to be halftime in this contest. 33-0. A great first half for the Harlequins. A lot left to be desired there for the Stormers. But the game's not over. Pro 14 still alive? No. There's top 14 and URC. That's pretty much the gist of it now in terms of the Champions Cup as well as Premiership. 1 second, I'm about to sneeze, so I'll quickly hide. We are good and also blurring. Now we're not blurry. We got there never right. Scotland out. Them lads will show a few teams. They can play ball as good as anyone. Says Dennis, absolutely. Their game up against England each year of the Six Nations is always a must-see because it always ends up being a really awesome kind of contest. Matches up against Ireland can go down to the wire as well. And Scotland are a team that could really stop someone from winning the Six Nations this year. God bless you, says Holdy there. And how poor from the Stormers. It was pretty rough, I have to say. How can these Quins players have a second bite at contesting at a ruck? Says Foldy. Which one are we talking about? We're talking about earlier on. I don't think they've won a ruck or a not releasing penalty in their favour for about 15 minutes, have they? But, yeah, I will say that last one of Damian Valimza, very unlucky for the Stormers as he wasn't actually out at the time that it was awarded. But I think that just due to momentum at the moment, the Quins have all of it. And the Stormers need to find a way of breaking it or else they will be broken in this game. Currently 33 down. It can get worse, but it can also get better, and that's what the Stormers will be hoping for. As that was a no try, says Katzenell. Which one we talking? We had a no try. And we have got there, could the Stormers still come back? Theoretically, they could. And we have seen them score 33 points. I'm trying to think of their highest scoring half. And we're actually going to check it. Do the teams travel well between the UK and South Africa, in your opinion, Hamish? I think it's a tough flight for the teams going from the UK to South Africa as well. It's a long haul one. Unfortunately, T20 World Cup coverage, possibly not. Last time we tried to cover a T20 World Cup, we got a copyright strike, and then it meant that I wasn't able to cover international rugby on the channel for a good 2 weeks. So I ended up doing it on the second channel. But possibly not a lot. And if I do, it will probably only be for the Black Caps. Maybe South Africa too. Maybe those two teams are the ones that I will keep an eye on. Toulon look like they've just scored. Now, their try was disallowed. That other one that I mentioned could be double movement. We're going to go here. Stormers. What have we seen in recent times to tell us that the second half could be a very good one? 24 points in the second half up against the Lions. It's a decent amount. In their game up against the Stormers. Up against La Rochelle. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 tries in the second half. That puts them getting a bonus point in this game if they were able to do that. They won 34-0 up against the Scarlets. 3 of those tries coming in the second half. They won 35-0 up against Leinster. There's not many games that they're hitting that 40 to 50 mark, unfortunately, and this has to now be one of them. 6-5, Munster at the minute, says Dennis, and it looked like a good kick. Yes, it was, so it's score now 6 points to 7 in favour of Toulon. And that is going to be just one more kickoff coming. Also, Munster have a yellow card in that contest. South African teams have been seriously underperforming, says Katzenell. And also Damian Valimza, where's the TMO, says Foldy. Yeah, see, it's an interesting one for the touchline. Like I mentioned, when they showed that replay from the other angle, they should have gone, okay, we got that wrong. Stormers scrum from 40 metres out. But, yeah, there are a few little decisions that haven't quite gone the Stormers' way, but that's not why they're losing 33-0 in this scenario. Where's Paul de Villiers? Is he playing today? Sadly not, but he should be. Because, honestly, his work in the breakdown, we are already seeing how little times the Stormers have been able to turn that ball over in the breakdown throughout this contest. Paul de Villiers, I love him in a starting lineup. Even if he's making his way off the bench, he has an impact. But when you take away him as well as Evan Ruiz, you're taking away the main jacklers of the Stormers side. So you're probably giving up 5 to 10% possession just by not picking them in a side. And yes, they needed a rest. And I think that's because of the focus maybe a little bit more on that game next week for the Stormers that is at home, as well as those URC games to come. But, you know, I think that could have made a big difference in terms of the scoreline we're seeing here. As you can see, they've got that game up against the Sharks in 14 days' time. Also, alongside that, the Leicester Tigers, they are taking them on next week. Going to be covering that one on the channel. And then also the Sharks versus the Stormers. That is the game, like I mentioned, the derbies, 2 in a row. That takes us towards the Six Nations. So, a bit of excitement in there as well for the Harlequins. They have got themselves La Rochelle next week. That's a tough game. Definitely because of how La Rochelle played up against Leinster. They seem like they were all but there. And the fact that that one's going to be at home, it's just that little bit of an extra element for that La Rochelle side. And then they have got the Leicester Tigers. So Leicester Tigers actually play both of these sides in the next 2 weeks. So we'll see how they compare. But of course, Premiership compared to Champions Cup could be a little bit of a difference there. We have got there, you're watching the cricket, India versus New Zealand. I am not, and luckily so far, I have found out nothing about that game. I'm hoping to watch the replay later on. So if you can avoid it, like no spoilers would be greatly appreciated, just because I've got this far through without checking it. So hopefully I can get to the end of the match without actually knowing what happened. Some are saying the brother of Paul de Villiers, who was playing first team rugby this year, will be better, says Hayno. Who scored, says LeBron. So far for the Quins, we have seen the try for Nick David. We've seen Caden Murley. We also saw Alex Dombrant, Jack Kettingham, and Chandler Cunningham South. So all three loose forwards have scored here for the Harlequins. I almost gave you the score. And also, I agree, Big Rig Joe, says Ruth. And also, we have got their Bulls did much better than the Stormers in their loss yesterday. At least got some points, says Ruth. And how many tries do the Stormers need? Theoretically, 5 converted tries would give them the lead in this game. But that is a big task for a second half of rugby. And like I mentioned, the most that I've found that the Stormers throughout this winning streak have scored throughout a second half was 4. Off the top of your head, what would you do to improve the game of rugby? Says Dennis, I would definitely, well, the thing is, it's easier said than done to say the officiating of the game. But, there's just so much, blurriness around decisions nowadays. It used to be simple. But then that was back in the days where they used to throw punches and the ref would be like, right, boys, you've had your little fun, now get on with it. But, even the rucks, if you stuck yourself in a position on the wrong side of the ruck, you didn't do it again because the opposition made you look like you were going through a cheese grater. And that was the incentive for players to go, oh, I'm going to roll away because or else I get sprigged and end up with a whole heap of holes in me. Now you can lie in that breakdown and just go, oh, ref, I'm slightly trying to get out of there. I've got my foot out the side, so that's all good. And the ref goes, yeah, fair enough, we'll play on from there. And then it can slow the rucks down. But, even just consistency of yellow cards and red cards would be great. 1 second, I'm about to sneeze again. We are back. What is the score now? Did the Stormers score a try? They have not quite. But they were close at the end of that first half, so that is at least one bonus for them, but they're going to have to do it a lot throughout the second half. They have still got Damien Valimza. He did go off for an HIA early on in the contest, but did end up missing out. Well, not missing out. He ended up passing it and going back out there. I'm GY having Stormers. Good afternoon all, says Jimbo. Welcome in, Jimbo. Hope you're doing extremely well. You're excited for the second half. Looking through at the reserves bench for these two sides. There's some decent players for both teams. I do think that for the Stormers, normally having someone like a de Villiers here does make quite the impact, but they haven't got that option today. They've got Khan, they've got Ndlaba, also Ndlovu, Swart, Van Wyk. But it's the question of, will any of those guys be that game changer? We actually saw the young players off the Bulls bench in the game up against Bristol make quite an impact, whether that was Gumeri or any of those other guys who just seemed to come out firing. Had a little bit more intent, and that might be what the Stormers need in this game. They've had some decent attacking chances, just nowhere near enough of them. But yeah, we'll wait and see. They can start the second half a lot stronger. I love your answer. Cheers, great. Or cheese grater, says Dennis. And also, watching Toulon Munster, can't get this game. 7-6 at halftime. Yeah, currently a low-scoring one. I did see Toulon had that try disallowed just before the end of the first half, but still have a man advantage for another 5 minutes or so they can score early in that second half. It could be the difference because Munster look like they're going to be competitive for that one. As 10 tries needed? No. I would say 10 tries would be great for the Stormers if they wanted to go out there and get 10 tries. I'm sure that winning streak would stay intact, but I would say, to be honest, if the Stormers are going to win this game, they probably need to score arguably 7 tries or so this half, because I do still think the Quins probably have 1 or 2 in them. But minimum 5 tries, 4 of which converted gets them to a draw. So there's a long way back for the Stormers team, but once again, we've seen sides make comebacks before, so it's very hard to completely write them off at the moment, you can't actually bet on this game because it is that one-sided in terms of the betting market. But they are saying at the moment the Stormers are expected to be within 40.5 points of their opposition here. So that is 1+. Hello, Ruth says Jimbo. Stormers need Percy Montgomery, Cornet, Schalksberger, and Victor. Says Ruth. When last did you feel an earthquake? Says Katzenell. When would it have been? See, I'm normally a little bit off balance half the time anyway. So it's very hard for me to tell. But I would say the last time I actually felt like a decent one was probably back when I was maybe like... When were the Christchurch earthquakes? It was probably Christchurch earthquakes, the last ones that I actually felt. We were around at my grandparents' place, and the whole house was just kind of going a little bit of that, doing like a little bit of a snake. I remember because we had hot chips for lunch, and I do enjoy hot chips. Will New Zealand join the X-Band? Says, is it Yade or is it Yad? I'm not too sure because it doesn't tell me where the split is. What's the X-Band? Is that like Twitter, like what was Twitter? Are like countries banning it now? And we have there just put Dwayne Vermeulen on and get done with it. Says Ruby. Both sides just about to make their way back out onto the field. Just a few last-minute warm-ups for the second 40 minutes starts get underway. And I will mention there is another game just around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. Bordeaux taking on Northampton. We are going to be covering that one on the channel. Last time I felt an earthquake is when Skelton hit the deck. Yesterday with that Bulls game earthquake. For the semis, apparently, it is in the team's home countries. Okay, so yeah, you do want that nice ranking. But then finals in Spain, right? Kahu. I did not envision this scoreline. I've just joined you. What a surprise. Stormers 0. Wow, says Mr. Michael. Yeah, this is a scoreline that even like optimistic Harlequins fans, I don't think we're hoping for a scoreline looking this good. Is it quite frequent? I think there's like, I don't know what the number is. I'll search for it 1 second. How many earthquakes in NZ per day? I think it's like a decent amount. We'll go like that. Yeah, averaging 54 per day. New Zealand has 20,000 earthquakes per year. But it's just not like too many of them. Annually, 100 to 150 are big enough to be felt of those earthquakes. So, yeah, you're pretty much 1 every 2 days can be felt. Maybe 1 every 3 days. We have the Hi Hamish out of interest from the new TV pictures. What does the weather look like in London? Apparently my hometown had snow last week. Lots of football was called off, says Nick. So it looks like a really decent afternoon. To be honest, like it actually looks like really good running rugby weather, considering that the Quins are getting smacked around domestically. This halftime scoreline comes as a surprise. Yeah, like their last 3 games of the Premiership, they have lost by large margins. And then you look at this game, and they just came out absolutely firing. But then they did do very well in their last game of the Champions Cup. They were able to beat Bayern by about the 45, 50 points. I felt 2 in 60 years, says DJ. So basically New Zealand is a vibrator. Says Ruby. In a way, I guess, if you want to look at it like that. And we have got the Holy. I just got here. What the heck happened there? Yeah, very, very interesting first half. And what was the biggest defeat Stormers had in Champions Cup past few years, says Dennis? It's a good question. I'll have a quick look, see what I can find. Although it might be tricky to get it right off the get-go. But we'll see what we can do. We'll go 2 years. Quarterfinals of the Champions Cup. The Stormers, they didn't make it. Last 16, where are they? They're hiding at the moment, the Stormers. In fact, they didn't even make the last 16 last year, did they? By the looks of that. But now, sitting 25 metres out from the line, the ball is in the hands of Luke Northmore. And also we've got there, whose ball? It is currently in the hands of the Harlequins. This one's going to be kicked downfield. Lucas Friday. Some decent moments throughout their first half, and it is handled by the Quins. They managed to take that one back. Flat pass. Debatably did travel a little bit forward, but it is going to be kicked behind by Lucas Friday, looking for a little bit of territory claimed at the back by the Stormers. Now going, oh, he wanted to go right-hand side, but wasn't quite able to get it away. And a big suplex coming there from Kieran Treadwell. Bulls 2.0, says Titanium. And not much Stormers need a miracle here, says Ruth. Yeah, we'll take, that's the thing. If they could somehow come back from this margin, it would be an absolutely massive, massive one for them. Now that one's going to be kicked downfield. Nicely taken by the Harlequins. So they're now 25 metres out from the line for Tyrone Green. Pass back across, that's going to be Delgado. He actually had one of the first runs of the whole contest, and since then I don't think he's really had to run the ball. It's been all loose forwards and backs, and that is going into touch from Tyrone Green. Doesn't quite link up. The man on his outside. Oh. What's happened there? I think the Stormers tried to take it quickly and they knocked the ball on. Or did the Quins knock the ball on? No, the Quins may have knocked it on. Yeah, Duvanacha tried to go quickly, threw it straight into the hands of the Harlequins. But then luckily for him, Harlequins player dropping the ball. Stormers are winning everything in the URC, says Mr. Michael. And yep, the weather's always changing in Britain. Who does the best Barbie? Is it New Zealand or Oz, says DJ? It depends on what's on the Barbie. To be honest, a New Zealand barbecue goes all right. I know that in comparison, some would say that it's not as good as a braai, but then it just depends what you really like. I'm a very simple individual. I was about to say, give me a sausage and I'm happy, but that wasn't going to sound right. But sausage and a bit of bread, maybe a meat patty. That's all I need. So you can do that in New Zealand or Australia, no problem. A Stormers caught in the net, says Ruth. Oops, says Ruth there as well. That one's going to be kicked towards the sideline. That's a great kick. Oh, but it doesn't find touch. It just kind of skidded along the touchline there. Tyrone Green kicking back down the middle of the field. Passed across, Yuri Matia. Now Warwick Lant running sideways, pops it up there. Big collision on Hudsonberg. They're back in the right half of the field here for the Stormers. A hot dog, says Big Rig, release the sausages to the Stormers. And also we have got there, I hope this doesn't dampen the Stormers' confidence. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what it does to them now in their URC matches. I don't think it will do a huge amount. I think they'll still be a very confident side because they will be able to make changes heading into those home games. Now, going around the side again there. And 25 metres out. Warwick Lant thought about the cutout pass, but instead goes short to Valimza, who did get a little bit of a hospital pass. Didn't really have any separation between him and the tackler, Vokozela. Now running it forward once more, Duvanacha. Oh, bit of a fumble there from Kebble. And he has knocked that ball on. What's going on with South African teams this weekend? Feels like they're just not even trying to show up for the European Rugby Championship, says JP. That one's going to be kicked in behind. We'll come back to that in a short moment. Winning the foot race, though, was Lucas Northball. Waiting for the bounce of the ball. And it sits there for Warwick Lant. Tries to throw it back. That was almost a knock on there. Yes, it was. And the Harlequins have another attacking chance. 22 metres out from the line. My fault, Ruby T. I could eat a hot dog right now, says DJ. And we have got there, as this game, Messi forward dominant. There's been a few messy moments, but overall I think it's the fact that all three of the Harlequins loose forwards have scored, but not just that. We've also seen their backs getting involved. It's actually been a really good balanced play. 1 second, sneezing. I thought we had got past the sneezing stage, but it has hit me today. But yeah, I think the Harlequins all round have just played a pretty smart game and a nice balance between the forwards and the backs. We've hardly seen their front row in action for the Quins. This result can make it harder for the Stormers to host round of 16 or a quarter final, says Kahu. And yeah, then it gets tricky, doesn't it? Because the closer you get to the URC playoffs, the more you have to decide whether your priority is going into that competition, the Champions Cup, or both. Penalty, or in fact, free kick, goes the way of the Harlequins. They have taken this one quickly. Northmore tries to step, gets around Damien Valimza. Murley on the outside, trying to spin back in. He's wrestled into touch. Now 5 metre line out here for the Stormers. Arsenal just conceded a goal against the championship team. Today needs to end already, says JP. Throw shrimps on the Barbie, Sheila. Crispy like the Stormers at the moment, and does Puma sponsor any union clubs? Oh, international teams. Not. Oh, who's sponsored by Puma in rugby? I know that they sponsor a few football teams, but I'm not sure about rugby teams. Rugby Puma sponsor. They sponsor the Vodacom Bulls, actually, and Queensland Maroons. Yeah, no, that's where I've seen the Puma kit. But other than that, doesn't look like a huge amount. Oh, and also they actually are the rugby league sponsor for the Warriors. But yeah, just the Vodacom Bulls by the looks of it. Harley's good, or is it just because Stormers rested? Oh, I think Harlequins have been really good this game. Compared to what we've seen in some of their recent games, like this is the type of matchup that gives a lot of Harlequins fans hope for what could be a decent finishing run to their premiership season, as well as just the fact that maybe a chance in this Champions Cup. Murley is not getting any more, or is not getting many more caps. It looks like a lot of injuries to get him above a clutch on better wingers. Yeah, it's tough at the moment in terms of that, like even just the depth for the Quins. You know, they've got a few very handy players, and then you look at the international side of things, and it's very tricky. Do they sponsor Argentina being the Pumas? I don't think so. They're Nike, aren't they, the Pumas side? For Argentina, maybe. All pass across here. Harlequins counter-attacking chance. Tyrone Green. Nice little shuffle there from Killingham. Sorry. Now Smith. Oh, I don't think that he was expecting a pass there, Bradley. He has still managed to hang on to it. And also, Amelia, I believe, is world class. Haven't seen enough to comment. Says DJ. Now Marcus Smith back to the left. Harlequins. It's the chant that is going round the ground. Chandler cutting himself. Tackled by Damien Valimza. A little bit of wrestling going on in that breakdown. Still 7 points to 6 in that other game between Munster and Toulon, who is Harley's playing next. So the next game that they have got for themselves are the Harlequins. They are up against La Rochelle in France. So that is a tough game, and that is why I mentioned about it at the start of this match. This was the game that the Quins needed to win if they wanted to hope of being either top 2 or 3. Because, that's a big knock on from Alex Dombrand. I don't think he was expecting that pass from Marcus Smith, but it gives the ball now to Connor Evans. They'll go back for the scrum, though. But yeah, and then the next game of the Premiership is up against Leicester. And just as I mentioned the scoreline between Munster and Toulon, we have just seen the try scored by Ben White for Toulon there. And they now take the lead 12 points to 6 while Munster still have that yellow card. Sasha was playing. Would the scoreline be this tragic? It may not have been this one-sided, but this is, I don't think just changing Sasha would have changed the result of this game. It may have made it closer, but I think they did need Paul de Villiers, Evan Ruiz, and all of those players as well. I mentioned about the lack of possession that the Stormers have had, just not having those main front jacklers like they would normally have. You know, it's probably, like I mentioned, 5 to 10% of the ball extra they could have had if they had just won a couple more not releasing penalties in their favour. Jack Kenningham again, he's in the hunt. And maybe Hamish had to play. No, they definitely would have lost by 50 if I was out there. 48 minutes through. Now, Duvanacha fed into the scrum now. Stormers still have time. Duvanacha should retire, almost 40. Yeah, he's got to be the oldest South African halfback at the moment playing, right? I know that Reinach is up there, but he's still, 5 years younger than Duvanacha? I don't think Harleys will be able to do the same against the French team. Yeah, I don't think many sides do this up against La Rochelle in France. Oh, that's a good kick in behind from the Stormers. Oh, no, it just kept rolling. Never curved towards the sideline, so they will go back to where it was kicked from, or at least they will for the penalty advantage. Feels like the South African teams are just riding off the championship, focusing on the URC. Says JP. Or maybe Vic and Vern to play for the Storm, as you're saying. 14 points to 6 at the moment in favour of Toulon, so they have got themselves the 8-point lead. With how it currently sits, John Dobson does not look happy with what he has seen out there on the field. It is such a difference compared to what we saw last week. John Dobson overrating his team. Doesn't have enough proper depth, says Bruce. Although I think we are seeing from this round of the URC that not many sides have the amount of depth that they had hoped that they do, unfortunately. Can they come back? I would say no. I think 30 minutes is just too little time. I think they score at least one try, but I don't see them getting 5 tries in this 30-minute period. What are the chances going forward for a full World Cup or World Club Cup? Has it ever entered the conversation? It has. I think they're going to do a Club World Cup in 2028, I want to say. That's when we're supposed to have one. Although I don't think it's going to involve every single club. I think it's like selected clubs from each league. Toulon impressive, says Ruth. But penalty now awarded to the Stormers. They will boot it into touch. Starts to look a little bit darker at the moment at the Harlequins Stadium. I think that's just because it's getting closer to night time. Could they reach 70 points? I actually don't think they will. They haven't scored a try in about 15 minutes now. Toulon score. Munster have just scored a try to fire back. So now 14 points to 11 by the looks of the scoreline. And to be honest, I don't think the Stormers are really wanting to dominate this championship. I think they are focused on the URC. Also, given the internationals coming up, you really can't have it all. So here's Dominique. And yeah, it's such a hectic rugby schedule for these guys. And you got that mandatory stand down of certain players at times as well, which does make it challenging. Now Duvanacha going across the as Damien Willem's a big collision between him and Marcus Smith. Now 5 metres out. Is this the chance for the Stormers to get on the ball for the first time today? Chandler Cunning himself just ripping that ball off Connor Evans. So the answer to that is no. Caden Murdy. Oh, I butchered his name, but it's Murley down the wing. See, his name, it's Caden Murley and Kanan Moody that always get me. But now passing across, Dombrandt trying to win the foot race towards the corner. Big shot on him by the Stormers defence. But the Quins still on attack. They're 40 metres out. Marcus Smith passes across to the right-hand side. Now Nick David. Northmore, he's got plenty of pace. Ball on the inside. That is a brilliant link-up play, and it's another try for the Quins. Just after I said they haven't scored for a long time, they go out there and they score again. 33-0 down, and now 38, about to be 40, as it was scored between the posts. Luke Northmore, pace, pure pace, whereas Amar Khan is making his way off the bench. I would say pretty soon right now there isn't enough money in rugby for bigger squads, etc., says DJ. And Dobbs is growing depth by throwing these young ones in the deep end. Says Dominique there. Yeah, it will be a brilliant learning experience for these players just to see what level they have to try and get to. But this draw and pass, like, he pretty much did what you did in like Rugby 25 or even Rugby Challenge when you don't see a gap, so you just run sideways a little bit because you know you got that little bit more pace to then create it. Yes, we want 70, and this is embarrassing for the Stormers, says Mike. Yeah, I mentioned about it in the first half, and it was a stat that I was hoping by mentioning it, it wasn't going to become a reality. But I mentioned how, like, a unique stat would be what's the biggest losing margin for a side that were on a 10 or more match winning streak. And this would have to be close to it. Normally, if a side lose their streak, it's by a little tiny margin. Oh, Toulon may have just scored another try. Yes, they have. That game started to become back and forth. Ladies and gentlemen, sitting, I believe that is 19 points to 12. And first game for Willemse as captain, says Neil. And well played, Harlequins. Definitely the better team today, says Purple Dragon. It's going to be kicked off long now. 53 minutes through. We've still got another game around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. Bordeaux versus Northampton. That game should be a lot closer. Sevens, in my view, is killing rugby as a whole, especially with their new format. Says Katzenell. Wait, so you're saying Sevens is like killing sevens or like rugby in general? Because like a lot of people who watch rugby union don't even watch rugby sevens. No embarrassment for the Stormers at all. Says Dominique there, 19 points to 13. Says Mr. Michael. And this is a rookie referee, says Sergio. We did see the mistake in the first half where Willemse went for the grubber down the touchline and they called it as out, but he wasn't. But I still don't think that changes the result here. Like, it may be like you could even go as high as saying it takes away 3 tries. You're still looking at probably about a 20-plus point lead for the Harlequins at this point in time. But they've been extremely clinical. And unfortunately, the Stormers just haven't been able to get it going. Another offload there. And now breaking the line. It's a prop who's managing to create line breaks now for the Harlequins. Valimza was missed nine nose with his HIA. Here's Bruce. Ball stolen back there for the Stormers. And there's Amar Khan now getting his hands on the ball. 55 minutes through. Stormers still have some time. If they score 4 quick-fire tries, they may be able to sneak a bonus point from this game. But it is going to take an effort and a half throughout this last 25 minutes. And they pretty much just have to throw caution to the wind and hope for the very best. And that's the difference between A-team and C-team. Says Mike there in 21-13 now, says Mr. Michael. So, yeah, an 8-point lead at the moment for Toulon. They have the ball around the halfway line. But now the Stormers, they are going to have themselves an attacking chance. 22 metres out. Personally think that Women's Sevens is one of the best spectacles on the pitch. Says DJ. I mean, the battles that New Zealand and Australia have had throughout recent years been absolutely incredible. The one critique I have is the fact that it is just normally those two fighting it out for the final. Like, I'd love to see the USA or France or someone like that make their way into the kind of contention as well, just to really make it more competitive at the top. Now, Vokozela throwing this one for the Stormers. Straight to the front to Connie Evans. Now, Vokozela goes to Damien Valimza. He's going to be shut down again. They've done extremely well throughout this game of being able to do so there, the Quins. In terms of just stopping that momentum. I think there was Nlovu who may have made his way onto the field now for the Stormers as well. Nice break to the line for Yuri Matea. Thought about the pass on the outside for Vokozela. Just couldn't quite link up with Valimza, but 10 metres out from the line now for the Stormers. Counter ruck from the Harlequins, and they get the penalty. Sarah Redeem's got a nice Christmas bonus, and stop it, Hamish, that's not happening, says Fleshin. And come on, Stormers, break that egg. And the loose scrum South African teams are very weak. Get put back in by less players on back for every loose scrum. And apparently it's an 11.5-hour flight from Cape Town to London. Can't be easy for the players, says Nick. I personally think, oh no, I read that one, didn't I? From earlier on. And DJ. But yeah, like the travel side of things, that is one of the things that make the Champions Cup such a brutal competition. You got 2 games at home, you got 2 games away, so you're constantly flying. Like if you're a French team, you go on to England, then you go on to South Africa, then you're heading back up north for your top 14. So like, yeah, all the sides. The good news is they're all in the same boat, but it's still brutal on the teams, and some sides just travel better than others. Stormers are normally a decent travelling side, or at least they have been in recent times. But yeah, it's just been such a clinical game from the Quins. Those ref is an arse. Says Sergio. Now this one's going to be kicked downfield. Marcus Smith. It's going to be bouncing awkwardly and a knock on there from the Stormers. Sadly, referee not involved in that one, and now going off to the left-hand side. Chance here to pass it out wide. Northmore. Grub it in behind. Stormers clean the ball up. Just 10 metres out from the line there for Watercalant. The travel side works both ways. It's not an excuse, says Fleshin. Why don't they do it to back-to-back away games and then back-to-back home games? Makes more sense to me, says Hayno. It does depend on who they play, though, I think. A little bit, but yeah, I think they try and have it most of the time that it's one home, one away game in the 2-match window, and then you have the break, and then again, break the ice, Stormers, please. You can't go down with 0 points. And the Stormers side, they've had chances. That's the sad thing about it. They've had some good opportunity in the 22 throughout the second half. Just a knock on there from Luke Berger and gave the counter-attacking chance to the Quins. And anytime they get a counter-attacking chance, they're making 30 metres, which is getting a bit brutal. But now 21 minutes left to see another change. And that is now Ndlovu making his way on. Crazy to think Halant was in the World Cup squad 2019. And man, pundits thought Stormers would win. They are being humiliated. There's a bounce of the ball and a half, and the Quins break through the tackle. It's another try. This time Nick David runs it round, and they get closer to the half century. As Stormers are making me so damn proud. Says Ricardo there. It was the grey 44-year-old. They just came onto the field. That's Scudder into Benny. I know exactly who you're talking about. I don't think he's... Is he 44, Scudder into Benny? Into Benny. How old is he? He's 34 years of age. But yes, he has got the grey hair. But that is a great try. Again, a missed pass from the Stormers. Ball sits up for the Harlequins and then just breaking through. Scoring again. No, he's not, Brew. Says Neil there. Another try for Nick David. And Lol Scudder says Neil there. Now 60 minutes through in this game. 45-0. Going to vacuum the pool now. Guest turning up. Don't think I'm going to miss much here. Piss ball effort. That one's gone over, making it 47-0. Dobbs must take responsibility for this. We must beat the living smoke out of the Tigers next weekend, says Ricardo. Yeah, the points differential is the one that I feel will really hurt the Stormers here. We'll look at the table, the way that it's set heading into this game. But, oh, that's the wrong one. 1 second, we'll go like this. Right, so with the Stormers losing this game by the looks of it, of course, anything can happen, but at the moment it's looking likely that they will suffer the defeat. With the Stormers losing this game, the chance of them catching up to Leinster has become near on impossible. And the Harlequins, they will move themselves up to 11 points from winning this game. So if they can somehow sneak a couple points up against La Rochelle, they may finish above the Stormers again. The crazy thing is, right, with this Champions Cup, oh, that's a great run there from the Harlequins. Every time I try and talk, they have a line break, kicked it in behind. It's the big lock, winning the foot race. In fact, no, it's the number 20, and it's another try for the Harlequins. They bring up the 50, and it's Will Hobson who does score it. But what I was trying to say was the Stormers, if they're not careful, can still miss out on the next stage of the Champions Cup. They are playing the Leicester Tigers next week. And you would have to think that Leicester will throw everything into that game, because if the Tigers win that matchup by 8 points, they qualify ahead of the Stormers if the Stormers don't receive a bonus point. And that would kick the Stormers down to the Challenge Cup rather than Champions Cup. So it's actually because of, well, in fact, no, sorry, they don't even need to beat them by 8 points because of the points differential, but they do because they can't get that losing bonus point. And going to vacuum the pool. Oh no, I read that one. Next game in Cape Town versus the Tigers. This game they can lose. Next one to win is to host a round of 16, says Michael. And also Stu Lineout says Sergio. And could the Stormers be knocked out of the Champions Cup if they lose next week? They actually can. Yeah, like we mentioned, there's that chance. But that kick has gone over too, making the score now 54-0. Just putting back the lost soil into the grave. I feel sorry for to have missed the game, says Yate. And also we have got their South Africa club sides getting waxed every game, except for the Lions. The Lions do deserve credit. They were able to win their game up against Lyon, which is not an easy opposition. And how much is Leicester on? Leicester at the moment are on the 5 points, the way that it currently sits. I give up, how is this possible, says Herbert, and uses Stormers. I need the Tigers to do the job. Come on, Tigers. And even though my team is getting smashed, your commentary is soothing and interesting. Says Nick, thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated. And yeah, like, we've covered the wins that the Stormers have had in recent times. They'll bounce back. Like, this is a bit of a one-off outlier for their season, you'd have to say. But, you know, it would not surprise me one bit if they come out next week and manage to beat the Tigers by 20 in South Africa. Like, that's the type of side the Stormers team can be. So, yeah, I'd definitely say they have a chance to bounce back. But this one's going to sting a little bit for a few of these guys, because some of these players, this will be their only game for quite some time. So you don't really want your only game on your record to be, you know, around that over 50-point loss. This is a one-off game, calm down, says Ricardo. We won 80, says Hayno there. And this is an easy one for the Harlequins, says George. The balls look good in comparison. Says Pedro, looks like making his way off the field now is the young man, Lucas Friday. He's had a solid game out there, and Green makes his way on. When I don't bet on the outliers, then it happens. Says Casper. We'll mention in that Toulon versus Munster game. Currently 8 points separating the two sides. Toulon are in the lead. He is giving Villy a run for his money, says Neil. Now feeding this ball in, the Harlequins again have an attacking opportunity. This is now 2 games in a row, by the way, that Harlequins have brought up 50 points over the Stormers. They did it back in December 2024 as well. In that game, the Stormers were able to score themselves 16, passed on the outside, grub it in behind. Sits up for Damien Valimza, but they will go back for the initial offside penalty against the Harlequins. Zebre versus Connacht score update, and Dobson didn't respect the Quins here with his selection. The C team is actually struggling to catch a ball, let alone the rest, says Mike. And yeah, possession-wise, I don't think they've had too many turnovers in any of the breakdowns either, which is, I think, something that has hurt them a bit. Connacht leading that game 31-14 at the moment, and Zebre Osprey separated by 6 in favour of Zebre. And as a cricket score, your winning streak is coming to an end, Stormers, says Herbert. And also, who was the favourite before the game? The Harlequins were favourite according to the New Zealand betting odds. And heading into this game, the betting odds here in New Zealand had the Harlequins winning by 14. Which I think if you had said that at the start of the game, some people would have said, no, you're wrong, but not for the reason that it is sitting at the moment. Come on, Zebre. Says, hey, no, but currently the ball in the hands of the Stormers at Mark Khan. Going across to the right-hand side. Little pop pass up from Damien Valimza. There's nowhere near the C team. This is a decent side, says Gatson. Yeah, like I mentioned in the intros, on paper, it's just decent-looking Stormers side, but they just haven't played to the level that you'd expect from these guys. Nice inside pass. Damien Valimza. One more ball, Imad Khan. They have broken the drought there, the Stormers. That looked so easy for the Stormers side, but just linking up, bit of draw and pass, straight through, score the try, 66 minutes in, and the youngster Mark Khan is the man who does strike. Is that because of taking Duvanacha off the field? I know that people were saying that maybe he was getting a little bit older. This could be the future for the Stormers here in the number 21 jersey in this game. And Swart, this replacement 10 looks unfit, says Neil Bester. He's a solid boy, isn't he? I feel like that's what your grandma says at Christmas time. Oh, he's got a bit solid, hasn't he? He's enjoyed a Christmas pudding, but no, he's a big man. Like when he gets the ball in hand and he runs it, it's quite hard to stop him. But not quite that natural build that you'd expect of a 10, if that makes sense. Like he's quite a stocky player, but he's got a decent bit about him. He has missed the kick, unfortunately. So this is the Stormers' second team, says Taiwan. Yeah, they are missing a few of their key players. And now the Sharks don't look too bad, says Davian. And Alex Domramp will be man of the match, says Casper. They need only 50 more points easy. I live in south of the Netherlands, and they moved the Cheetahs versus Ulster game to an hour of where I stay. I was hoping to go. They have closed the game off to spectators. So what's the actual reasoning behind the changing of the times and whatnot, Nick? I never caught why they did it. But yeah, it was changed time-wise. So why is it being switched? Is it weather-wise or is it something else? Oh, penalty goes the way of the Harlequins. Thought about the quick tap. We will chalk that try up for you, Ruth. He had a hard day. How many South Africans in the Quins team? Says Nick. So of their team, they've got Tyrone Green. I think that's it. I think it's just Tyrone Green. Weather conditions, says Haino. Why are our big players not playing like Sasha and Koba, says Taiwan? I think they're saving them for the game next week up against the Leicester Tigers. And also just giving them a bit of a rest after a couple hard battles in the URC. The Stormers are a joke. Yes, Dobson. Matia is the man. Let's not play Sasha. Dobson is clueless. Says WLK. And Australia should learn changing times instead of delays, says Cats. Now that is going to be not straight from the Harlequins at line-out time, so it does give the scrum feed now to the Stormers. Just out from their own try line. And my mum could beat the Harlequins, says Mr. Thrib. Your mum should probably sign a contract for a side then, because she'd be a bloody good player. And no donuts for the Stormers, says Ruby. The field is completely frozen solid and -8. Oh boy, that's rough. They'll be showing that game here, won't they? It's live at the moment. Should we have a look? What's the ground look like? Is it icy? I remember playing rugby on a field that was still like half by frozen and there was a dead mouse stuck to the ground. Oh yeah, the media is not available for this game yet. When is that game starting? So it's been delayed. How much is it delayed by? I always suck at time zones when it comes to the overseas games. So I think it got delayed by an hour, didn't it? over the weekend here, I had serious snow and ice, really treacherous visuals coming from news outlets in Amsterdam. That is a penalty there to the Stormers. See, whereas here in New Zealand, we've had like the hottest weather we've had, but then it's also a record low at the moment. So like we had one of the hottest days in a while, but now it's cold. Damn, if only Grant was here to hear you say grandmas and getting solid, says Fleshin. I don't understand why they play second choice players in this competition. It bothers me, says Anise. Although, like, the Stormers are not the only team that do it. Like, all the games are postponed, like, completely rather than just by a few hours. So I think initially it was going to be an hour delay, wasn't it? Or something like that. But yeah, like, all the sides do end up rotating teams in the Champions Cup, or at least a majority do, unless they're doing poorly in their competition outside of the Champions Cup, then they just go with it. Having this rookie be officiating in the World Cup, says Sergio. Yeah, you're not a fan of Nika Mushakeli in this game, are you? Now going back across to the left-hand side, Damien Valimza passes one more to Hudson-Berg, who I don't feel has had the ball enough, and maybe he has because he's just tried to kick it and knock the ball on. Yep, that's all they can do, scrum to get the penalty. Unfortunately, there is no further game plan, says Mike. Now off to the left. Oh, thought about the wide slinging pass there, but just sells that dummy quite nicely for Tom Lorde. I'm not going to wear my Stormers hat for a while. It's too embarrassing. Here's Annie. But now sitting about 30 metres out from the try line. Chandler Cunningham himself. He has scored himself a try in this contest alongside Dombrandt and Kenningham. It's been quite a successful day for the loose forwards. Now, kicking this one high, Elliot Williams. Now, on the halfway line, Stormers have 9 minutes left to try and get themselves another try here. They are currently losing by 49 points. It's a bit of an arm wrap there. Across to the right, Ahmad Khan. At the moment, he is the only player who has been able to get himself a try for the Stormers in this game, whereas for the Quins, that list is getting pretty long in terms of try scorers, almost turning into a rolling maul. There's some good strength shown by Kieran Treadwell. Off to the left-hand side again. Good face play here from the Stormers. They have not given this ball up for quite some time, but that makes you wonder whether or not they're going to go for some sort of kick at some stage. I should mention, speaking of kicks, we are seeing Toulon line up 3 points here, try and give themselves an 11-point lead rather than just the 8. On the halfway line here for the Stormers. Talking about that structure that the Stormers have got just for now for themselves. Now, wide skip pass on the outside. Hudson-Berg thought about the inside ball, gets it away to Swart, and now a couple passes could lead to the try. Oh, sorry, that was actually Dylan Mart on the inside. Drop ball from the Stormers is going to be play on, well handled by Clinton Swart that time. Counter up from Chandler Cunningham himself. In fact, that's going to be like Harry Williams. Sliding the ball, penalty advantage against them. Scutter into Benny. Finds the offload up to Imar Khan. Skip pass on the outside to Ben Jason Dixon. We have hardly seen him in this game. 3 metres out from the line. Passed back across, still under penalty advantage there. Allowed one movement. Can't quite roll over to score the try though for Marcel Tennyson. Back across to the right-hand side again. We have got there 24-13 in France. So here's Mr. Michael. So yeah, nice lead of 11 at the moment. Damien Valimza gets the offload. One more pass on the outside. Dylan Mart should score. And he does just that. Another try for the Stormers. It's slowly decreasing the differential. And there's still a lot to be desired. If they score twice in the last 7 minutes, they get a bonus point though from this game, the Stormers. So that would be at least something. And that would stop the chance of the Leicester Tigers being able to catch them so easily. Losing by such a significant margin is a disgrace, says Avril there. And noise damage limitation time for the Stormers, says George. And Scarlett's poll yesterday is worth a catch-up, says DJ. Yeah, there's a few games that I definitely want to watch that I haven't been able to catch yet. It's a big fend from Dylan Mart. Does slam that ball down. That's a good finish. Kick has a missed again here for the Stormers, so they sit 54 points to 10. Greatest comeback of all time. Says Destroying Dumb People. So obviously our African teams only focus on the URC. Says Albert. But I think that the thing that annoys some people is the fact that for the Sharks, yes, they had the mandatory stand down, which I think was terrible timing for it. This is not URC, it is not. It is the Champions Cup. But, the Sharks are a side at the moment who look like they're going to be out of the URC. So you'd think that they'd try and stack their side for the Champions Cup to give them some sort of competition. Bordeaux and Northampton, who you got? What about Sarries and Toulouse? Honestly, those two games are really tough to judge. I think Toulouse should get the win over Saracens, but Saracens are at home, and that may be just enough. Although Toulouse have stacked their side, they want that top qualifying spot, or at least close to it. Then Bordeaux, Northampton. Bordeaux are hard to beat on any given day, let alone when they're in front of that crowd. Northampton, they're in great form, but I think Bordeaux take it. I'm honestly thinking two French sides for those two wins. Do Stormers still number one in the URC? They certainly are. They sit on top of the table, 8 wins from 8, and they have a game in hand over some of those sides below them. Harlequins in possession with 5 minutes remaining on the clock. This game has been pretty one-sided between the teams, but there is still time for a little bit of a gap to be maybe either extended or reduced. A big attack and run forward from Kieran Treble. He's had a phenomenal game for the Harlequins. Good quick hands there. Breaking the line. Couple missed tackles in a row from the Stormers. Gives the chance for the Harlequins. Ball just a little bit too far out in front of Tom Lorde. Now go back for the line out. Harlequins are humiliating the Stormers, says Andrew. And time is ticking, running out for the Stormers, says Ruth. Talona La Rochelle, says Ruth there. Yeah, just breaking the line. And then nice. Oh, it was almost into the hands of Lorde. Just that little bit too far out in front. Finally, it's a bit late, Stormers, says Herbert. Yeah, see, 4 minutes remaining. If they can score 2 tries, they get something from this game. It won't be much, but it would be, it would be at least a little bit. As I think the Stormers is just going for the URC, says Martin. And come on, boys, only 8 quick tries, says Taiwan. Yeah, it's going to take a bit of an effort. I do think that the next game will be a lot closer. Speaking of, Munster have a shot at the post here. I think they may have just scored. Yes, they did. That's going to be a finish and a half, by the way. We might have to continue that live stream when this game ends. There's currently 11 minutes remaining in that Toulon versus Munster game. The score sits 24-18, and I believe Charles Olivon has just gone to the bin. How long left in the Zebra game? I am not actually too sure for that one. But it's 16-14. I'm not sure how long ago, but at least 59 minutes have passed in that one. Bulls versus Pal will be a good game next Friday. And it's always their own worst enemies a little bit. I do think that the Harlequins do deserve a ton of credit, though, for what they've been able to do throughout this game. They have looked so much better than they have their last few weeks. And hopefully that does continue into their next few matches too. South African teams are still festive mode, says Andrew. And we have there, come on, Munster, says Mr. Michael. And also not a great weekend for South Africa, but the Lions look good, says Pedro there. And Stormers should have used a more experience from pack, as Dobbo said. Desperate teams are dangerous, says Vian there. And yeah, it does mean that the Harlequins go ahead of the Stormers in the overall standings at this point in time. Bit of a spin there from the Stormers replacement. Or gets back up to his feet, has another crack there, 40 metres out from their own line here, the Stormers. And the penalty awarded to the Harlequins, but not releasing. There's been a ton of those in the breakdowns today. A lot of them have been against the Stormers. And also, Po were a great watch, super quick ball, says DJ. Yeah, they have really shown why they are sitting so high on that top 14 table. Did the Stormers leave their kicker boots at home, says George. They're currently missing both of them. It was Clinton Swart. We actually never got to see Yuri Matia take a shot at the post. He was on the field for around that 60-minute mark and never given the opportunity. Now, chance in the corner for the Harlequins. 90 seconds left. This is for a chance of finishing with 59 points. Maybe even 61. But last time these two sides played, the score was 53-16. So already we've actually seen an improvement here from the Harlequins. compared to last time these two sides met. That's a big knock on from the Quins on attack. Now, trying to run this one forward, it is Nlovu. Back into the pocket, Yuri Matea looking for the cross kick. Nicely done. It does go straight into the hands of Dylan Mutt, the last try scorer. Damien Valimza offloading back on the inside. They have to, because every breakdown, the Quins are hitting it with one or two players trying to get that turnover. Big driving tackle on Ruben van Heeren. I think Hamish, a surprise result, but my sister is happy. They left all their boots at home. It's such a bad ref. Says Sergio. And now it sits up there for Smith once more. Sorry, that was actually Nick David. That's a try for Munster. They're now 24-23 in that game. Let's turn it into an insane one by the looks of it now. Oh, looking for another offload. Valimza knocking it on. Chandler Cunning himself takes it. Lorde. Currently 15 seconds remaining here. Driving tackle spiked on his head. Now left-hand side once more. Quick hands. Moving it across, it's Harry Williams. The Stormers of the South African teams will definitely go through to the final rounds with the Bulls and Sharks facing an uphill battle. Oh, break it again through the defence. Ball on the inside. They'll finish with a try to Jared Evans. And that has summed up what has been a clinical game for the Harlequins. They have gone from losing by around that 60 or 50 point margin to inflicting it themselves. Like they're saying, it is a job well done for this Harlequin side. That ends the winning streak of the Stormers. Not in terms of the URC. They are still on their 8-match winning streak in that competition, so that will be alive for that little bit longer. But, yeah, not the game people were expecting, I don't think. In terms of the scoreline, hardcore says Ruby. And thanks to the commentary, Average, you are looking absolutely fantastic with that one. Has gone over 61-10. The end score in the contest. And Harlequins, why did you have to be so good today, says Andrew. And Quins, Evans. Hasn't Lord a New Zealand singer? She is indeed, yes. 25-24. The score in the Munster versus Toulon game. And like I mentioned, I think we've got to cover the end of that game while we are at it. So what we will do is we'll go like this. Go like that. 1 second. Give me about 5 maybe rather than 1. And what we will do is we will go like this. We'll go like that. We'll go Harlequins 61 compared to the 10 of the Stormers at full time. And we will go like that. We'll stick that down the bottom. We'll unshare that. We'll start sharing that. Stick us to the side, chuck it on, boom. We've got the scoreline now for the next game, and what we will do is we will cover the final 5 minutes of that game, because it is turning into an absolutely thrilling contest by the looks of it. I had it on my secondary screen watching it. Oh, another penalty goes the way of Toulon. That could give them the lead. 1 second, I'm about to sneeze, so we'll quickly mute. We are good. Where are you watching Munster? So that is also on EPCR TV for us here in New Zealand. And the great thing is they've actually got that co-screen option. So I have been able to watch along with that game throughout. We have got there, well done, says Mr. Michael. And what a way for Harlequins to silence the haters. Says SS Trading. Yeah, like they released a statement not too long ago on social media saying, look, we know we're not doing as well as people want us to, but just give us time and we'll see if we can turn it around. And you know, they've managed to do so. At least for this game. Playing against a C team with 16 players. Says Sergio, honestly, a win's a win. You can only play what's in front of you. Which is the interesting one about the C team comment, is they can only play who the opposition select. So, you know, you beat who's in front of you and they beat them badly. Unfortunately for the Stormers. You know, there's all the questions of what if they had gone with a different team, but they didn't. They selected that team and they got slaughtered, unfortunately, in that contest. That kick has gone over from Toulon, now making the score 27-25 in favour of the home side. Now still 3 minutes remaining of the Charles Oliphant yellow card. Looking forward to the next game. Come on, Bordeaux. Says Kahu. DeMarcus played today. He did. Marcus Smith was solid in that number 10 jersey. Some really good attacking moves early on from the whole of that Harlequins back line. Stormers fans can't blame Arnie Lebok for this performance, says Andrew. And is it on Stan Sport? I'm not too sure. I think they might have it. Are you doing the Six Nations next month? Are you doing the Super Round in April? If yes, all games, says Kiwi Rob. So we are doing the Six Nations. I think we're going to be doing the Super Rugby competition too, majority of it. But if Munster pull this off, Seb will be in heaven. I might make up a bit for the Ashes, says Fleshin. And Marcus Smith had a good game, says Big Rig there. We blame the rookie. So you're blaming the referee for a 51-point loss. Each to their own. We've got there, well, that's it, Stormers. What a disappointment, says Herbert. Yeah, they just didn't get going, did they, unfortunately? Line out won by Munster. That looks like a knock-on. That's clearly... Wait, they've said it didn't touch him. That looked like it clearly touched him. Ref blow the whistle. Says, hey, no, well played, Harlequins. The best team won today. Fair play, says Andrew. How much is Rugby Pass? So it is EPCR TV that we are watching. That's another penalty that goes the way of Toulon. I've got 3 minutes remaining now. But Rugby Pass TV is free, but I don't think they have all of these games of the Champions Cup. Do you think it's all part of Rassi's Rugby World Cup master plan? No. No, I don't think Rassi has gone to the teams, hey, I want you to lose this game by 50 points so that people think that we're worse than we are. I think it's just, once again, it's an outlier. It's not what we're used to seeing from the Stormers, and they could bounce back and, like I said, win the next game by 20 at home. I mean, are you thinking of going to see the new stadium? Probably not, no. Although I'll possibly be in Christchurch that weekend, but I'll probably just end up covering the games. I think most of them, or at least the Crusaders game on Friday night's already sold out too. Now ready to throw this ball in. If Toulon got one more try in them, they will need it. Now ready to throw it in, nicely taken. No, I meant trying out combinations and different game plans. Says Ruby, I think all sides are going to rotate, but I don't think it's just because Rassi said so. I think it's because the coaches have to try and balance out minutes. But now, ball's there for Toulon. Oh, interception there for Munster, but it's another penalty. And it's going to be for, I think it's offside. So this is another chance for Toulon to be able to either take 3 points to extend their lead by that little bit more, or they can kick for the corner to try and go for the jugular. And that would actually stop Munster from getting a bonus point if they were to score and convert. Now, if Toulon score now, they also get the extra bonus point, which I think is what they are chasing in this game. 5 minutes left in Zebre versus Ospreys, 23-19. Take a scrum. Says Haino. That's 70 seconds away from getting themselves the win at home. You'd like to think from here they shouldn't be able to lose this game. But they can get that little bit more of a lead. Nice take from Charles Olivon. They're having to transfer that ball backwards, but they weren't able to do so. That actually happened in the game yesterday too. Our player wasn't quite able to get it through. That one's going to be tied up by Munster, who are yet to give up. Note that ball's now available for Toulon. They've got 40 seconds remaining. This will be disappointing for Munster if they don't walk away from this game with any points. They've been competitive all the way throughout. They've got 30 seconds remaining on the clock. Going for the pick and go. What's the number 20? It looks like a lot of the replacement forwards are actually getting involved here for Toulon. That time it was Mizo. They've got the penalty advantage for offside. And corner seems sensible. And so we should expect a run of losses from now on. Such a disgraceful performance. Sees Andrew now offload there. Toulon. Oh my goodness, that was a hard collision. It's going to be dragged down just short of the line for Dumont. Now Munster told to release him. Gets that little bit closer to the try line. 3 meters out this time. Danny Prezzo is going to back himself to go around the side of the breakdown. Thinking about it again. Passing it across Lewis Ludlam. Stopped again. It's good defence from Munster, but they are still playing under that penalty advantage. Wouldn't they get a losing bonus point, says Kahu? Only if Toulon miss the kick. If Toulon score and convert, Munster won't get any bonus points from this game as they'll be outside of 7. Do you think Scott Robertson should stay as coach for the ABs, considering how many good players we are losing into next year? Says Kiwi Rob. I think that if they try and sack him now, New Zealand Rugby would lose more money than they already have because they'll have to pay him out. So, they didn't learn from Ian Foster in terms of locking in a guy for a long-term contract and then begging him to end it. So, like, it's their own doing. But Scott Robertson, it wasn't an awful year for the ABs, to be fair. I think that people, as soon as they lose one game, they kind of flip their heads a little bit and go a bit crazy. But, oh, knock on there. No, not back from Toulon. That looked like it went forward. But it's going to be play on once more, crawling over the top of the breakdown. Now 2 meters away from the line. Nicely worked from Ben White. Missed tackle, and they're over Toulon. Did they get it down? It's called as held up. So that will be the end of the game. I think they want to check it just in case. As Munster lose, how does the group look like? Says Katzenel. One moment, we'll go like this, and we'll go like that as well. That's the way that their group sits, and we'll go like that. There we go. So with Toulon winning, they will not get a bonus point from this game, but they will win. They'll go up to 9 points. Munster move up to 6. So that's a pretty competitive group. Everyone has got at least one win, which is something that some of these other groups do not have. Zebre won. Says Haino in there as well over the Ospreys. So yeah, Toulon were asking to have that one checked, but I don't think they're going to there, and that will be the end of the game. Toulon end up winning it 27 points to 25. So a much closer finish in that regard. Oh, little bit of afters there between Tom Farrell and one of the Toulon players. It looked like Tom Farrell kind of grabbed his hand and wouldn't let it go. But yeah, end of these two matches, ladies and gents. And the fun stuff, or the fun bit of news, is the fact that in 20 minutes' time, we're going to do it all again for Northampton versus Bordeaux. Another matchup just around the corner. That one's going to be a very entertaining one. Montpellier comeback. Oh, wow. 33-31. That is a brilliant comeback from Montpellier there. And think about it. Rassi tells the coaches to try out new radical game plans, and they get all the data, like the Bulls game and the Stormers game, says Ruby. I think it's possibly grasping at straws a little bit for a couple losses. But at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, there will be rotation at some stage, but the coaches still do have their own brains. They don't need Rassi to completely think for them. They are allowed to make some decisions themselves. And rotation of a team, something we've seen before Rassi was even born. We have got there, see you in 20 minutes, says Jeff in there too. So yeah, we have got that game between Bordeaux and Northampton coming just around the corner. I know, but it is possible, says Ruby. He's in your head, Ruby. I won't sing the song because I would sing it badly. Hopefully a low-scoring game, no bonus points for Bordeaux and Northampton as a Glasgow fan, says Kahu there. Yeah, there's still a lot that can take place. So Marius Dumont got himself man of the match in that contest between Toulon and Munster. Anyone who is just tuning in now, 61 points to 10 win for the Harlequins over the Stormers. It breaks the winning streak of the Stormers, and a 51-point margin between those two sides. It would be scary if he is doing it, says Ruby there. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. We will see you in 17 minutes' time for that match between Bordeaux and Northampton.